The Xbox reset just moves from bad to worse, but it's also forcing Microsoft to break the glass on a game that fans have been begging for. Today, the news out of the Xbox reset is worse than we feared. id Software did not just get their staff cut in half, as was previously reported. They have been completely gutted, with roughly 75% of the studio laid off. The remaining amount of people, probably not even enough for the studio to function beyond a support studio. Many people saying, why didn't you just close them down? This is something I said initially, that the studios left behind were the ones we should fear for the most, and that the not closing studios down thing was a pure act of PR and trickery. I think they let those studios get leaked that they were going to be closed down so they could turn around and say, oh, we're not closing them, we're selling them, divesting them, or what have you, or letting them go independent. Meanwhile, veteran studios like id Software have been gutted to the point that they probably won't even function as a studio or make future games. But at the exact same moment, Xbox is making a play to slow the community revolt. Obsidian Entertainment is officially spinning up a brand new Fallout game. This kind of feels like a high-stakes trade-off. Xbox is willingly sacrificing the foundational DNA of the studio that invented the first-person shooter, all to finance and shift money around so they can make a highly requested RPG pivot to help salvage the brand's dying reputation. Welcome to the show. Hit the like button. We're going to be breaking this down. Make sure you're subscribed as well so you don't miss out on my content. So let's just start with id Software. The first major headline is the destruction of this company. When we talk about a 75% workforce reduction, we are not talking about a standard corporate trim. This is near total liquidation of one of the most foundational studios in video game history. Just think about the math for a second. Microsoft bought Bethesda and ZeniMax for $7.5 billion, largely to secure crown jewels like id Software. We have recently even heard that they were going to be refocusing on big titles like Elder Scrolls Fallout and Doom. Well, 3/4 of the developers who built the foundations of Doom and Quake are gone. And this leaves us with a massive question regarding the id Tech engine. The id Tech engine has historically been one of the most optimized cutting-edge game engines in the industry, and they just dropped a DLC that everybody is praising. If you lay off 75% of the studio, who is left to maintain, build, and innovate the very software that powers Xbox's most visually impressive titles? And if you want to continue with the Doom as a franchise, well, who's going to build it? This looks less like a strategic pivot and more like a corporate blind spot that hollows out a studio's core tech just to make quarterly earnings report look better. But we have to understand why this is happening. We have to look directly at the business operations that is driving this broader Xbox reset. Under Asha Sharma's leadership, we are seeing a ruthless blueprint unfold, one that prioritizes cold, hard efficiency over historical sentiment, or even taking the time to measure talent and legacy. The strategy here is clear. Xbox is aggressively cutting with zero regard for what it will take for these studios to continue to operate. It's why I argued the other day that they are killing these studios without closing them. They are shifting resources into high ROI and more dominant intellectual properties. In the eyes of corporate leadership, maintaining a massive internal tech engine at id Software, well, that's an expensive luxury and one they're not willing to pay for. They're betting everything on established, globally recognized brands that can drive immediate engagement. It is a complete shifting of the guard, and the human toll and the historical legacy of the studio, well, that's being treated like secondary to the balance sheet. But it's not all dark and bleak. A piece of hope leaked alongside this tragedy. Obsidian Entertainment is officially back on the Fallout franchise. It's been 16 long years since Fallout New Vegas released in 2010. For over a decade, fans have begged, pleaded, and even memed about getting Obsidian back into the wasteland. But let's be entirely real about the timing of this announcement. The new Obsidian Fallout game isn't a generous gift to the community. It feels more like a corporate shield. And obviously, everybody who likes to run Defense Force and AstroTurf for Xbox, well, they're going to focus on this, turn it into a celebration, while ignoring id Software in tatters on the ground literally the week they released a sequel-sized DLC for Doom the Dark Ages. They're also probably doing this because the Fallout TV series just landed like 9 to 10 Emmy nominations, and that's hitting the headlines. Xbox leadership knew that a 75% layoff at id Software would be really bad PR, so you break the glass on a brand new Obsidian Fallout, and that's a great distraction technique. They haven't even begun production. It's just a great way to shift headlines in a more positive direction. You guys know my thoughts on how Xbox and Microsoft play the distraction game. They're giving the audience the exact game that they demanded for nearly 2 decades, hoping that the hype of a new Fallout will drown out the criticism and those of us actually being willing to criticize Xbox and talk about what they have done. But hey, now you've got more AstroTurfing Defense Force talking points to use. Hey, they didn't close any studios. It's not as bad as everybody thought. And hey, look, Fallout's back. So now I have to put this question directly to you, the viewer, the commenter, the gamer. Is a brand new Obsidian Fallout game worth the destruction of id Software? Can we genuinely celebrate the return of a legendary RPG franchise when 3/4 of a studio that defined gaming history is now gone? Let me know in the comments below, and make sure you are present for my live streams. And good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Yeah, they basically have taken over the news cycle, guys. So when this news hit yesterday, I was like, well, I guess we have to talk about that. We were previously reporting that half of id Software had been shut down, and it's way worse than that. It's 75, 76, something like that percent. Basically, they've been gutted down to the size of a support studio. So if you guys haven't done so already, hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribed so you can talk in the chat and weigh in on the topic. People have been begging for Obsidian to make a Fallout New Vegas 2 for over a decade. Now it's a corporate shield. Wow, that's a reach. Yeah, this is a total corporate play. I don't know how you could not see that that's what they're doing. Like, they're literally saying, well, hey, Fallout's doing well. Fallout TV show's doing well. Let's make sure the week we do layoffs, we greenlight a project. Like, make that make sense, bro. You really, really are swimming deep in the Kool-Aid if you think that this is a coincidence of an announcement. They're like, we're literally sending thousands of people packing, and at the exact same time they greenlight a Fallout game. Come on, man. Like, this company to this point, they're a joke to me. They're a joke. It's like, it's all a game to them. Like, they're literally letting people go at id Software, not because they want id Software to become leaner or more productive or more profitable. They just targeted all the people that made the most money. Like, there's nobody left. It's like that. They should have just shut down the studio. They should have just sold id Software. You could have found a publisher that was willing to work with them to spin them off independent. Like, such zero respect for the history of gaming to just treat id Software that way. Noberto with 62 months says, gaming news has been such a bummer lately. At this point, it feels like the majority of studios will have to go independent to stay alive, to keep their individuality. Here, let me add you to the total. Thank you so much, Noberto. Hate the soulless feel of New Vegas along with every game they've made since. I would rather see a different RPG studio do another spin-off. 100 bits from Wired Rope. ID or id is about as alive as Mitch McConnell. That's so rude. Shinobi reporting id Software was pitching and toying with various projects, including a new Perfect Dark, a John Wick style game, codename Fury, and then like a Doom. Yeah, like a co-op Doom. And then Alex gifts a member on Twitch to keep it tied. He gifts it to Beers Good because it couldn't have been greenlit after the 14 layers of management were removed. Yeah, you're just buying into the spin. I'm not convinced. I think this company is a joke. I think Xbox is a joke. What they did to id Software makes them a joke in my mind. They have no respect for the history of gaming. They have no respect for legacy. They didn't even attempt to find a solution for id Software. Like, hey, maybe we could spin you guys off independent, find a publisher to protect the id tech, technology or the legacy of id and first-person shooters. And Doom the Dark Ages drops a sequel-sized DLC. They get no respect. I think this company is garbage, and I strongly dislike them at this point. I'm going beyond criticism now. I actively dislike this company. They're trash. Because if you're going to do this to id, and then at the exact same time be like, oh, everybody calm down, where we greenlit a Fallout. Who cares? Shut up. Go away. I don't want to hear from you right now. I don't want to hear game announcements. I don't want to hear greenlit projects. You're gutting historic studios for no reason other than the fact that you're trying to, save money on your line items. You could have allowed this studio to spin off independent or find a publisher or buyer. It's id Software after all. What are you doing? Guessing this is a safe space, so here goes. I am a huge fan of the show, and we appreciate all you do. I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much for becoming a part of the community over there. Make sure you guys hit your subs in your primes as well. Says he's been watching for a long time. I appreciate that. Xbox should be gone. They've done more harm than good. New Vegas was universally hated until Fallout 4 came out, and everybody acts like it's the best. Yeah, but no studio closures. That's what I'm saying. They're a joke of a company. They're a joke. It's like, I see through all your PR tricks at this point. You guys are an embarrassment. You trick everybody into thinking, yeah, we didn't close any studios after spooking everybody for weeks that we were going to close studios. Yeah, isn't that better? We've divided up the layoffs into 3 perfectly divided groups of 1,600 to confuse everybody, because now you won't know which 1,600 layoffs that you're talking about. And people will historically think that there was only 1,600 layoffs, not 4,800. Joker Quinn with the gifted, thank you so much. Giving underperforming studios the funding to finish their games, let them go independent and take their IP with them or be acquired is evil. Ask Bluepoint if they would have liked that. I mean, you're just doing whataboutisms because you don't want to admit that you're drinking Kool-Aid from a brand that's trying to trick everybody. I'm sorry. Bluepoint has nothing to do with the conversation. I've also been very critical and said the exact same thing about PlayStation. I said it was short-sighted to let Bluepoint go. They had too much pedigree and they were too small. They should have kept them. So all you're doing is bringing up something that I've said 1,000 times. I've said that every time it's come up. You're just doing whataboutisms to distract from the fact that Xbox is a literal joke. Their attempts to trick the public, their attempts to fool everybody and get the Kansas City shuffle going. Everybody look over here. Yeah, we didn't close any studios. Oh, we greenlit a new Fallout. Man, shut up. Shut up. This brand just needs to shut up. I dislike them so much. They're so irritating because it's so farce. It's so fake. And all these willing fans just go along with it and parade it around. Charles Freeman, thank you so much for the gifted. 2 coming in from Charles Freeman to get us 10 away from 200. Thank you, sir. What are we even talking about? Yeah, Bluepoint had great pedigree and did great work. You can compare them to id Software? Jiminy Christmas. What's so funny, too, is people want to bring up PlayStation and Bluepoint, and it's you guys don't give a frick about Xbox or their studios. A 10 bomb from Charles Freeman to get us to 200. You don't care. What's interesting is it went from, those studios sucked and their games sucked, and when it comes to id Software, you got to go, but what about Sony, though? You guys do not have genuine viewpoints. You have prepackaged, ignorant talking points that you just spew into these conversations. You'll justify studios getting shuttered, divested, closed down, gutted, and you're like, well, they sucked. But then when it's id Software, you don't have a response. You're unable to be critical of the brand and admit how bad they are, how dumb they are, how inept they are, and you just run to Bluepoint and PlayStation. It's just embarrassing. It's pathetic. It's yeah, when PlayStation did that, basically, Rissick with the Agents of Chaos, thank you. When they did that, basically every PlayStation fan with the pulse took them to task for it. I didn't see PlayStation fans hand-waving Bluepoint and acting like it wasn't a big deal. I saw virtually every PlayStation-centric channel, Twitter account, saying that it was a mistake and saying that it was stupid. I saw universal anger about Bluepoint. And then id Software gets gutted and people are like, yeah, well, what about Sony, though? And Blue Point was offered the option to be a support studio, and they said no. That was their choice. Yes, I've seen the Christopher Barrett news. I am extremely disappointed and a little bit, maybe a lot of bit. I'm pretty angry that PlayStation settled with him. I think PlayStation settled with him because most of the people they were going to use his case to fire are already gone. I think when they originally fired back and they were going to go to court with him, I think they envisioned using his case as grounds to get rid of people. Well, they've already done that. So they're like, there's no reason to drag this company through the mud any longer. The PR is terrible. Let's just settle with this guy and make this go away. I honestly think that's why they do it. And I'm incredibly disappointed. I wanted that case to go to court. I wanted all of Bungie's dirty laundry to be drug out into the public. A gross company with gross leadership over the years. I said my viewpoints. Name another company that lets studios keep their funding, walk away to go independent, or be acquired and keep their IP. Name another company. I'll wait, but Xbox is evil. See, what you're doing is you're setting up perfectly. I mean, you literally sound like an Xbox YouTuber on an alt. You literally sound like you're rehearsing your next video right now, just to AstroTurf and defend Xbox for, against everything that they do. What you're doing is you're setting up like a false dichotomy. They're either good or they're evil. And it's like, no one's saying they're evil, so you're shadowboxing. Secondly, what they did with those studios, why would they get credit for doing that? Why? It's their own stupidity and bad business practices and ineptitude that got us to this point. You know what I'm saying? Mick Clickerston, thank you so much for gifting 5 over there on Twitch. You have blinders on as well and being critical about things from PlayStation? No, I don't. I've been consistently critical of PlayStation. Give me an example where I wasn't critical of something that PlayStation did. I was critical of Blue Point. I was critical of how they handled PSN on Steam. I was critical of their marketing and how they weren't showing certain things the one time. I did not like the ones that when they finally came back and did a showcase. I was critical of that. I told everybody I don't like people losing options on physical, but this has been inevitable. You know what I'm saying? You're doing the same tried and true Xbox fanboyism. You're like, oh, he's going to go critical on Xbox because it's actually worse than we thought with id Software. Got to quickly invoke PlayStation and make sure and distract from the fact and be like, yeah, well, Lono, you don't really go hard enough on PlayStation. That's like saying that, like, I go harder on the team that's lost every game than I do against the team that's won most of their games. Like, yeah, PlayStation's missed some easy shots. They wasted a bunch of time and money having first-party studios create live service. You literal fanboys make me do this every time I cover Xbox. You make me run through the entire history of every time I've been critical of PlayStation because you are liars. You're liars. You lie. I was told to stop saying this. I don't freaking care anymore. I'm sick of you. I am sick of you. I'm fed up with you. You're liars. You come in and you lie. And you're like, make him run the history on every time he's been critical of PlayStation. And then I do. And then you'll be like, oh yeah, I just don't think you go hard enough or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're just liars. Like, you have nothing to do but lie because the brand is in a shambles and all you can do is lie about PlayStation or lie about Reforge. Like, you literally can't turn around and be critical of Xbox. You can't do it. You literally lack the ability to turn and say, yeah, this is terrible. This sucks. I can't believe they're doing this. I can't believe they did this to id Software. You lack the ability. You care more about me and my coverage and things I've said about PlayStation because you're liars. You don't care about the truth. You don't care about accuracy. You don't care about the studios under Xbox's ownership. All you want to do is run out into the public and lie about Xbox. That's all you guys have done for like the last 3 years. You can't answer my question? It's a rigged question. You're literally saying, who has done this? Who has done this? What are you talking about? Xbox is in a unique position. They bought more property and more studios than anybody historically, and they allowed 4 studios to leave. 2 were purchased, 2 are going independent, and you think that wipes the slate clean. Why? Because you're more interested in being dishonest and talking about how, well, it's all on Sony. It's all on, so Sony's bad too. Sony did this thing with Blue Point. You have to understand something. This situation, you can't just keep hand-waving this. You guys have hand-waved everything the brand has done. It's embarrassing at this point. You guys look ridiculous. You Xbox fans, the fanatics, you look ridiculous. You do. You guys are the jokes of the gaming world at this point because you won't hold them accountable for anything. They didn't have to do that for any of the studios. They could just close them. That's like saying I could have blown your house up, but I just lit your garage on fire instead, and you want credit for that. It's like, homie, they're gutting studios to the point that they might as well have closed them. That's the thing. You're taking part in the PR. You're literally taking part in the PR. You might as well be on their payroll. You're in here running this delusional idea that, like, they can literally lay off 3,000 people, and I'm going to give them praise for saving 300 folks. Roughly 300 to 350 people were saved in their efforts with, like, to sell those studios. You want to know what's also funny? I think those studios were specifically chosen because they knew they could get people like you to run Defense Force for them. They chose the smallest studios. They chose the easiest studios to sell and get rid of. That's what they did because they knew people like you would do what you're doing right now. You'll go out and you'll evangelize for a brand that's in tatters on the ground. They look pathetic. They look weak. They look stupid. They look inept. They don't have a clue what the frick they're doing. They're gutting studios to the point that they can't even function. And you're like, yeah, but I mean, they saved these 300 people over here, these 4 studios that basically equal the size of almost what id Software was on their own before they had all the people laid off. Thank you for the $10, TJ Boom Boom. It's my 10-year anniversary as lab manager. Thanks for putting up with me during the madness of the medical field PTO. Cheers. I appreciate you, TJ. Thank you for the $10 super chat. Xbox sucks. They need to be reset due to bad management. Here's my frustration, though, Jimmy. They're not fixing anything. They're not. Like, they're literally taking id down to the place where they can't even operate. They're taking people down to where they can't operate. And it's like, what? Huh? Like, how is that going to help them go forward? How is that going to help Xbox flourish and go forward? How? The decisions they're making now are reckless and don't even make any sense. According to the John Linneman over at Digital Foundry, from what he's hearing, is they didn't even make these cuts so that these studios could flourish. Like, they're not trying to set the brand up and the studios up to flourish and do well. That's not. They're literally just going in and gutting them. And they knew their faithful fans would run out into the public and go to YouTube chats and tweets and threads and be like, yeah, but I mean, at least these studios didn't get closed down and they let those guys keep their IPs. They specifically targeted Compulsion and Double Fine and Ninja Theory and Undead. It's real interesting to me. They targeted 4 of basically their smallest studios to allow to go independent and to be sold off, and then we'll pay for the runway here. Yeah, conveniently with like the smallest studios and probably the smallest operational costs. Why? It's a PR game to them. They're literally using these studios as pawns on a board, and they have all these willing fans that'll just go along with it and be like, yeah, well, PlayStation and Bluepoint and Reforge, you have a blind spot for PlayStation. What does that have to do with anything going on? Most, if not all, of id's coders are gone, and so isn't their engine? Xbox absolutely slit id's throat. You mean all underperforming studios? Like, again, it's a hand wave every time. It's a hand wave every time. You'll never be critical of the fact that these studios were told to make those games. Make Xbox fans seem happy to me. I'm not surprised they're happy. They would literally guzzle sludge and talk about how good it tastes. And then when they have diarrhea later, they'll blame the sludge. They're like, They literally look at these games and all the things that have been coming out the last 6 years. They celebrate them. They sing their praises. They go out here and they talk about how great these games are. And then when those studios get divested, closed down, gutted, or whatever, they're like, yeah, those studios sucked anyway. Long live Asha. Those studios sucked. They were bad. They underperformed. Their games were trash. And it's like, what? What? Responding to something that you said a few minutes ago, I would have said id would have been easier to sell or allow to leave than the ones they allowed to leave or sell, which makes it even worse. Right, they chose smaller studios that would have an easier asking price because they know it's not a buyer's market right now. I don't know if you would have get anybody to buy id. You would have probably got a publisher that would have been willing to fund the next project or something. I think what they did with id is because they don't want to give up the tech. They don't want to give up the tech. Compulsion and Double Fine and Undead and Ninja Theory, they don't have any proprietary tech. I mean, they don't have anything like the id Tech engine. I mean, Ninja Theory's got an amazing capture studio, but it's not the same. It's not the same. It isn't. The issue here is that they specifically targeted small studios that they could use as pawns on the board. It's a giant distraction. Xbox fanboys are all whipped and too busy fawning over Asha to the point that she can do no wrong. You can hire devs to id. Dev counts are fluid. Yeah. Yeah. It's a great time to hire people right now. Get rid of people that have been at id Software for 21 years and then just go hire some people. Yeah. It's just remarkable. At some level, I appreciate and respect the willingness to just not give up. You know what I mean? You're like Captain America in the beginning of his movie, just scrawny, whooped, outmatched, and you're just like, I can do this all day. I can defend this till the end of time. No one played Doom. 187, shut up. Shut the frick up. No one played Doom. Shut the frick up. 100 bits from Wired Rope. I don't know the exact amount, but part of the acquisition of each studio is when the studios let go, they keep the IP. They aren't being nice. Yeah, like, oh, they're being nice. Like, who's going to buy a studio that has no IP? Who's going to buy a studio that has no IP? Like, oh, they're being nice. It's remarkable to me. It really is remarkable to me. They can walk out and literally just decimate their entire gaming division and just be ruthless. And people are describing them as being nice. They're being nice. They're letting people keep their IPs. How are you going to sell a studio if you don't sell the IP? They're not being nice. That probably had to be on the table. You going to buy Ninja Theory and not get the rights to the games? We're not all happy about it, says Hilly. I was and still worry for Halo Studios. I think hitting id was a mistake. If they have to reset the business, I understand, but that doesn't mean I support any of it. If they need to do this to keep Xbox alive, then that's what needs to happen. If they keep the stupid studios open as window dressing and outsource all the work, I think that's scummy. But ultimately, if the games keep coming, not sure what else they can do as a fan. Well, I mean, I think they could have given some of these studios a chance. Like, give them a chance. I don't know why you wouldn't give id Software a chance under your new paradigm of go out there and sell games. Like, the previous leadership, everything was hitched to the wagon of Game Pass. Game Pass, Game Pass, Game Pass. Every showcase, it was like they were more interested in marketing Game Pass. So it's like, you look at a studio like id and you're like, what? They went from Doom Eternal to Doom 2016 to Doom the Dark Ages, and it's like magically the third one just did measurably worse than all of the others. You hitched it to the wagon of Game Pass. You have 25 million people that don't have to buy the game. And when you put it on PC, the birth of Doom, PC, and you put it on Xbox, another platform that had a lot of people that probably would have bought it, you gave millions of people the option to not buy it. Like, the idea that Game Pass hasn't played a significant role here, it's like, I'm sorry, you can't take a game like that and throw it on Game Pass and not expect it to have a literal measurable effect on how many copies it sells. $10 from VTech King says Mortal Shell 2 Steelbook hardcase art book with pre-order skins, $70. What do you think about Asha's career path in saving companies like Instagram, Messenger, and Instacart? I don't care about her career path. I care about games. Didn't they let them keep the IP? I don't even know anymore. It's like you guys all get your, I swear you guys get your marching orders from some weird group meeting somewhere. It's like, hi, yeah, Xbox Fanatic number 2251 here, reporting for duty. What are we supposed to say in light of just how terrible this looks? Well, what you do is you focus on the fact that studios weren't closed because we made everybody get really scared about that. So now we get to basically act like we did everybody a favor. We'd have everybody scared that we're going to close studios, and then we're not going to close studios. So really fixate on that. Really sell us as the good guy here. Oh, yeah, they didn't close those studios. Another thing you can do is you can say that they got to keep their IPs. Really focus on that, right? Obviously, if we're going to sell a studio, we have to sell the IP. No one's going to buy a game studio without the IP. But really sell that as that we're being nice, right? Also, we've made it very convenient for you to make it hard to know how many people are being laid off. 4,800 people are being laid off at Microsoft. We've divided it into 3 rounds of 1,600. So nobody will know which group of 1,600 that you're talking about. This is a very, very classic strategy of muddying the waters. It'll make it really hard for people to have a clear picture of what's going on. All right? Then, if anybody brings up the fact that we're downsizing or we're gutting, fixate on the fact that it's the studio's fault. It's always the dev's fault. It's always the studio's fault. It was 343's fault with Halo, not our contract policy. It's always the dev's fault if a game comes to the Series S late. Blame the devs is a big, big thing that we think is important here. So maintain that blame the dev energy. Get out there and blame the devs. Say that the devs sucked. Say the game sucked. Talk about how nobody played their games, especially if your username is 187. Say something as stupid and idiotic as the fact that no one plays Doom. That'll go over real, real well with people that know nothing about the history of gaming, which is most of you here. Make sure and focus on all of those things. Don't ever hold us accountable. Don't ever say that we're to blame. Don't ever say that we're the cause of all of this. Focus on everything else. And if you're really, really backed up against the wall, the best thing to do is bring up PlayStation. Here are all the bad things PlayStation did. Here's a 15-person studio that was working on a VR game. They closed them 6 years ago. You make that equivalent to id Software, right? Here's a 10-person studio that was working on a mobile game that PlayStation closed 5 years ago. Make sure and make that equivalent to us laying off 3,000 people. So if your back is against the wall, listen, no one cares about truth anymore, least of all you people that are here still cheering for this brand. Just run to making false equivalencies to PlayStation and all the things that they've done, all right? You have your marching orders. Now go. Disrupt every YouTube chat, every Twitter thread that you can get on. Just get on there and evangelize for this absolutely dying brand. It's like you guys all went to a meeting and that was the instructions that you got. It has Commander Keen, Wolfenstein, Quake, Doom. Those are some major old IP that they've had and were successful. It's like you all say the same things. The one thing you guys never seem to have the ability to say is that it's Xbox's fault. You don't have the ability to say it's Xbox's fault. $10 from Charles Freeman says that's a short. I've not loved Halo under 343. I hold both them and Microsoft for that. The small margins of good in their Halo releases are overshadowed by a lot of stuff that I just dislike. Hilly says Xbox effed up. I mean, Malice one says, I agree. Asha is the necessary evil they needed. Blow it all up and rebuild. Game Pass has to be next. Put all the major titles off of it and just leave it for indies. And titles 6 months. Here's the thing. The reason that I don't blame Asha for where they are, but I don't think she's putting them on a course for success. What she did to id Software tells me she doesn't give a frick about legacy. She doesn't give a frick about talent. She knows nothing about gaming. She knows nothing, and it's clear. Anybody that has a clue about gaming would have never done that to id Software. They wouldn't have. I'm not going to stop hammering on this drum. I'm not going to stop hammering on this drum. She is absolute. That's why I put it on the thumbnail. They're clueless. They are rudderless. They have no North Star. This is not a trajectory for success in gaming. It isn't. It is an absolute restructuring for something completely different. Their goal is to strip everything down to the biggest pieces of property. All they're doing is chasing the numbers. They're like, oh, Fallout's really hot right now. They're getting all these nominations. The show's doing well. Let's greenlight a Fallout game. id Software just dropped a DLC that's allegedly the size of a sequel. These guys are excellent. They've got all these things they're ready to do. They've got multiple projects that they're busy pitching to you, and you're like, no. You guys are literally the grandfathers of the first-person shooter. You are absolutely highly respected and regarded in the gaming global industry. No, we're going to gut you. 76% of you are gone. I tell you what we do, though. We greenlight a Fallout. Give it to Obsidian. I'm telling you, they're rudderless. They have no idea what they're doing. It's all reactionary. It's like literally the people that they fired at id Software, you can tell all they did was create a spreadsheet. They sorted according to salary, and they're like, "Whoom, just get rid of them." That's why the optimism and she's going to save Xbox, you guys look like buffoons right now. That is not what this is. She's not saving Xbox. She's going to strip all these studio down, and they're going to turn into Unreal AI churning houses, and they're just going to use the property that they think is the most popular to try to make money. Why do you think she wants Mojang and King answering to her? Because she's looking at them, she's like, that's our moneymaker. They answer directly to me. If you're now the CEO, what's your solution? I would have said that the only way we survive in gaming is as a publisher. I would have immediately been like, we cannot do hardware. Hardware is a lost cause. We need to be an excellent publisher. We need to shore up the talent that we have, the studios that we have, and set them up to flourish. id Software can rise again. They can make a game that will sell very, very well. These studios can do this. They can turn it around. These studios have talent. Lono in bad faith mode. Show where I'm being bad faith. You have the floor, Jimmy Mac. Go ahead. Show where I'm being bad faith. To me, my opinion, this isn't bad faith. I'm not making things up or spinning. This is just me full on, in my emotions, angry about this. It's like, what they're doing with id Software is all the evidence I need that they have no North Star. They don't know what they're doing. She doesn't know anything about games. If you're going to do that to id Software, you have proven to me that you're clueless. You know nothing. And all you care about is the line items. You're like, these IPs are big right now. These IPs are hot right now. Protect them, and we'll make sure that these games get new titles. Not to mention, who knows what she's going to do with Unreal and AI. Like if they start outsourcing or contracting every project to keep the price of the operations down. Software hasn't sold well either. It's not an Xbox. It's not only an Xbox hardware problem. Well, right. I would get rid of Game Pass. I would get rid of Game Pass. Bad faith means that you say things that you know are not true, or you argue things in a way that you know are underhanded because you don't care. You're just trying to bait people. This is as genuine as it gets. I'm like, they're to me, they're clueless. You've held this take about Asha since she started. It's beyond id. Oh, so you mean that my opinion hasn't changed, and I've been watching what she does, and I've been watching what she says, and I looked where she came from, and I said, she doesn't know anything about gaming. She's been brought in to clean house, and then she comes in and lays off 3,000 people and guts one of their best studios, one of their most iconic studios, and I take that as evidence she doesn't know what she's doing. Where's the bad faith, Jimmy, if it isn't from you? Where's the bad faith? Yeah, I saw her come in the room, and I said, she's a killer. She's here to kill. That's what she's here to do. And then she lays off 3,000 people and takes id Software down to the studs. And I'm like, she doesn't know anything about gaming. And you're like, you're being bad faith. I don't even think you know what that word means. You just know people say it. I've been consistent. That's not bad faith. She's literally doing the thing that I was worried she was going to do. I was like, she's not going to care about talent. She is not going to care about the studios. She's there to be a killer. And everybody told me I was fear-mongering, and Xbox is back. And then the showcase happened, and everybody's like, yeah, confetti in the air. And then the reality hits, and you're like, well, you're being bad faith. What? She just walked out and took the mask off, and she was like, everybody that said I was the Grim Reaper was correct. Do you think the media... Oh, I'm sorry. Do you think they made this move with id to make them their first AI-based studio? I have no idea, BMO. I have no idea. I have no idea. I just don't. Sorry. Allergies. I don't know what their goal is with id Software. I take it as evidence that they don't know what they're doing. They're not setting these studios up to flourish and to function. They're not. Like, it's clear to me. It's like, how could you set id Software up like this? How? The only reason you would do that is if you didn't care about the future of these games. You had other ulterior motives. Like, it's like something else is going on here. It's like, wait, you have so many other studios that you could have gutted. You could have taken to the threshing floor. What in the world are you doing with these guys? It looks that way to me too. She's the Grim Reaper. Yeah, I've been consistent. I called it. As soon as we looked at her history, as soon as we looked at her track record, I was like, I really don't think this is what you guys think it's going to be. Bad Faith is saying they only greenlit a new Fallout game to act as a corporate shield for the layoffs, which is false. You don't know if it's false or true. It's my opinion, so it can't be bad faith. It's my opinion. Again, you guys don't know what bad faith is. You do not understand the terms that you're using. You guys hear words like grifter and bad faith, and you're like, well, those are internet pejoratives. I'm going to use those when I don't like what man on screen says about company I like. That's my opinion. My opinion is that they're playing a dadgum game because they've done it from the beginning. They've done it from the beginning. Their playbook is the Kansas City Shuffle. I've said this now for how long? And I get it right every time. I'm like, yeah, they're telling you to look over there. And what they're really doing is over here. It's always about what they're not saying. It's always about what they're trying to hide. There's so much subterfuge. There's so much obfuscation. It's a brand drenched in obfuscation. And when they literally gut one of their most iconic studios, arguably their most iconic studios, and who greenlights a game this week? What are you doing? You're sending thousands of people packing, and you're like, we want to greenlight Fallout. What? We don't even, we got to figure out how we're even going to operate. You're laying people off, and you want to greenlight a game? What? It's literally an act of distraction. It's actually false. Obsidian teased they were working on this months ago with posts showing the Fallout screen. Don't let facts get in the way, though. You just made my argument stronger. You don't even realize it. You don't even realize it. So they greenlit this a while ago. They could have announced it at the showcase. They could have done something. They could have done a teaser or what have you. But they don't do that. So it magically leaks that these 4 studios, just these 4, by the way, isn't it interesting that the 4 studios that magically are the 4 studios that either go independent or get sold, just by sheer accident, they're the only studios that we heard about getting closed. It's just pure coincidence that just those 4, they own how many studios? And by sheer happenstance, the only studios we hear about closing are these 4. Huh, that's weird. It's almost as if they're manufactured leaks so that then she could walk out and say, we're not closing those studios down, and people would lap it up and celebrate. Oh, whew. Oh, they're not closing down. They get to keep their IPs. Time to go run Defense Force. And then, just mysteriously, the week that all these studios are getting gutted and taken to the threshing floor, and you look terrible, by the way, as soon as the news breaks that id Software has had 76% of its people sent packing, you're like, all right, leak that we're doing a new Fallout. It's amazing to me that people fall for it. It's amazing that people fall for it. You mean the 4 that are underperforming? Can't be that. The 4 that are underperforming. So did all the studios underperform then? You're acting like those 4 are different? id Software just had 76% of its people laid off. Why? What's the reason? Like, you think that you've got some kind of a logic trap card here. Like, oh, but just those 4, they were underperforming. Really? Then what was id Software doing? All the Doom people making Fallout? No. They fall within the same publishing hierarchy, though, the same publishing structure. Like the people that would be, making that. It's the same edifice that they purchased. So like when you purchase all of those studios and all of that, and you're shifting things around, I don't think it's an accident that when we finally get the hard numbers on id Software, we also get a leak that, oh, the Obsidian's been greenlit to make the Fallout game. 76 is wild. Why not 100%? Because they're playing a PR game. They didn't want any headlines about studio closure. Oh my gosh, they're playing the public like a fiddle. They intentionally leak that these 4 studios will get closed, and then they specifically target studios to not be closed. A $10 super chat from Jimmy Mack. Asha is holding Xbox accountable. She says Xbox is in bad shape and needs an overhaul. You say she's lying and there to kill Xbox. That's bad faith argument. You hate Xbox self-admittedly. And you're a liar. I never said that. I never said she's lying. I didn't say she's lying. She lied to us. She's there to kill Xbox. I said that she's there to kill Xbox. She's a Grim Reaper. I didn't say she's lying. They're playing the Kansas City Shuffle. They get you to look at the wrong thing. That's not bad faith. That's my opinion. You don't understand bad faith. You just spent $10 to let everybody know that you don't understand what bad faith is. Angry Pete with 27 months. Double dipping back to YouTube, and Captain Galliant with 2 months over there as well. Let's get those prime. I'm sorry, those are primes. Is one of those a prime? Both of those are primes. Let's get those primes added to the total. Thank you very, very much. I missed some super chats. Alex of the $2 says, as a Doom fan, this is effing frustrating. Xbox WTF, I agree. Soy with $3 says leaked just like Oblivion and Fallout remasters. You did? What did I say she lied about? What did I say that she lied about? I think they're being dishonest. I think they're being deceptive. I think they're being misleading. I don't think when she's come out and said what she says about the brand and how it's not healthy and how it can't continue, I've never said she was lying when she says that. I've said it's remarkable that people are still clinging to the fact that, like, Game Pass and Xbox have been profitable. She's out here saying that with a straight face. I've never once said that she's been lying when she said that stuff. AOZ says, so all they have done is gut and skim to make the bottom line look better. A real restructuring means cutting somewhere and bolstering somewhere else. There is no news of infusion anywhere. They're corporate raiders. Accountability is alleviating studios from Game Pass. That's exactly right. That would be accountability. That would be accountability. Accountability would be, this is on us. You have a really weird definition of accountability. Eurogamer article, it is going to focus on Quake in the future. What? Quake? Accountability would be them saying, this is on us. We messed this up. We did this to these studios. We're going to fix this. You don't have to put your games on Game Pass anymore. That would be accountability. Accountability's not, yeah, this hasn't been working. This model hasn't been working, and you guys all have to pay the price. That's not accountability. Kimball with $5. Are we gamers or workers on Sony and Xbox financial reports? They greenlit Fallout. That's a good thing. We want to play games. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Me? Me, boss? Me? What's wrong with me? What's wrong with you? You want to play games? You care about games? You don't seem to care about games. You should be incensed that they're doing this to these studios. The Xbox fans should be lighting this company on fire for what they're doing. Look at what the PlayStation fans are doing to PlayStation every time PlayStation tries to talk, because they're ending physical. Xbox can go out and be like, you see this legacy studio right here? Boom! You guys like that? Cheer. That's right. That's right, you cult. Cheer for us. PlayStation fans won't let PlayStation talk on Twitter because they said they were going to end physical. Xbox murders in cold blood in front of the public one of the best, most longest standing studios, and you guys are like, I care about games, and we're going to get a Fallout in 5 or 6 years. Like, where are the pitchforks? Where's the anger? I don't even agree with what the PlayStation fans are doing to PlayStation on Twitter. I don't even agree with it. I think it's ridiculous. I think they're wasting their time. I think that ship has sailed. I think they should be fighting for digital ownership. But at least they're mobilized, and at least they're angry. At least they're letting their voices be heard. You guys are like, please, sir, can I have some more, sir? It's like, where's the anger? Like, after all the ABK cheering that I had to listen to, where are all those people that used to come here every day and debate me? Y'all should be coming back and being like, you know what? We've not always agreed, Lono, but I'm on your side on this. I'm furious about what they did to id Software. $8 from Soy Poger. The new narrative I've seen, id Software was a bad slop studio that deserves to be cut despite the excitement of them being bought. Totally gross. I had a guy in my feed yesterday. He's like, you probably didn't even buy it. And I was like, what's that? Doom guy is so disappointed in you. Feel his disappointment. You probably didn't even buy it. Oh, the one guy was like, oh, you suddenly like Doom now? Listen to me, son. Listen to me, young blood. Don't reach. Don't reach. I was playing id Software games when you weren't alive. The PlayStation fans keep community noting on Twitter, which is not a good idea. I think it's counterproductive, Lady Gamer. I do. I think what they're doing is counterproductive. I'm merely drawing a parallel. I'm like, they're angry and the entire world knows it. The entire world knows it. You know what the entire gaming world knows about the Xbox fan base? You guys won't stand up for yourselves. You won't stand up for yourselves. You will not take this company and hold it accountable. You won't. You don't have any voices. You don't have any people, any ambassadors to walk out there and be like, this is ridiculous. Where is your North Star? What are you doing if you're gutting id Software? What is the future of this brand? What is the future of you as a publishing house of gaming if you're going to do that to id Software? Where is the anger? Where's the mobilization? Where are the pitchforks? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like, how? Stand up for yourselves. This is absolutely ridiculous. It's embarrassing. The entire world knows that the PlayStation fanboys and the gamers and the ponies, they'll rise up. They'll be like, hey, you ain't taking physical from us. At least you're not going to do it quietly. Because they're totally going to do it. They're not going to go back on this. Wired Rope with a 10 bomb on Twitch gets us to 218. We're a little behind pace, boys. You guys are going to have to rally. Thank you very, very much, Wired Rope. Killian, I think I missed your resub. 12 months. Let me add it to the total. Thanks for using your Prime, Killian. If you truly love something, you should be challenging decisions like this, not defending or cheering. When I was with Xbox, I used to be shouted down when I dare critique anything. King Dazar, I'm right there with you, brother. I'm right there with you. It's like, since I moved to variety coverage, that's what I've been on the receiving end of. It's like, I'm an Xbox fan and I don't like what they're doing. I came into this gen, I bought a Series X first. I have this huge backwards compatible library. It's like, what are you doing over there? And then it all comes to a head, and I kept telling people, I said, this is going to be really bad. The ABK deal is going to lead to studio closures. It's going to lead to layoffs. It's going to lead to canceled projects. And here we sit, and then I got to hear from people about like, well, the studios were bad, and the studios underperformed, and this is necessary, market conditions, but Sony, though. And it's like, man, you guys will not stand up for yourselves at all. You're that kid in the sitcom who every day goes to school, and the bully takes your lunch money, and you think because he ruffled your hair instead of punching you that he's your friend. It's like, stand up for yourselves, man. You guys should be all mobilized on a single note of Asha. This is not the way. We want answers. Why are you doing this to studios like this? This doesn't make an ounce of sense. If you're going to become a gaming publishing powerhouse, I understand selling off smaller studios. I do. I understand letting smaller studios go independent. That makes sense to me. It's like, yeah, the money's not there, but you're going to go to studios like id and do this to them. You don't understand gaming. You don't know what you're doing, and you use those 4 studios as a distraction. You did. You use them as a distraction. You don't want anybody focused on the fact that id Software might as well have been closed down. They're just not doing it because of the press. They didn't leave 50 people at id because they care about id Software. They left 50 people at id to avoid the headline that id Software's been closed down. Well, joke's on you. That's all everybody's talking about. It didn't. That's been my point since this news broke. Do not let the AstroTurf Defense Force win this time. Don't let them win. Make sure the world knows this company is inept. They are clueless. Do not hold back. Do not let them turn this into some positive thing. $2 from Heath Stevens says, remember, Phil said they will evangelize it. Lono, they could restaff in the future, can they not? They got rid of people that have been there for 20 years, dude. Like, they got rid of all of the coders, all the devs. They'd have to bring them all back. These are OGs. These are the guys. These are the people that like know all the ins and outs and nooks and crannies of the engine. How do you think they were able to release that Revelations DLC? $20 from Benevolent Icon. These studios were underperforming under the strategy that Microsoft outlined for them. The reset should have been to retool these studios to be in line with a new strategy. Instead, they cut talent and cost at these studios. That's exactly why it's not accountability. That's such a good point, Benevolent Icon. Ninja of Shadows says, none of us know the reason for the layoffs at id. For all we know, they didn't want to make Doom anymore. See, now I know that you're just talking to talk, right? I talk for a living. You're just talking to talk. We literally just heard what they were pitching. They had 3 things they were working on, and one of them was like a co-op version of Doom. We don't know. We don't really know what happened. You have a good gaming session on Kiln last night? I haven't played Kiln. I've willingly admitted that I don't have any interest in Kiln. I was playing Astral Ascent last night with my wife. You were in my stream the other day and you said, do you play games or do you just rage bait? You're on a 1-year-old account. You're just another coward on an alt trying to bait. I don't have to play Kiln to know that Double Fine had talent. From Psychonauts 2 to Keeper to Kiln, they're a talented studio. And I argue that that's evidence of talent, and you need to nurture and foster talent in an environment where they can also flourish and make good money. I don't have to play Kiln to know that Double Fine's a talented studio. The outrage over closed studios with dog crap games is like you complaining about a vegan restaurant in your favorite mall getting closed. No, that's not an equivalency. No. That's not at all. They bought all these studios and they told them to make fun, creative projects to put on Game Pass. Like, Double Fine made Psychonauts 2. That game was a Game of the Year nominated game. You don't even know what you're talking about. It's always clear to me when I'm talking to people, you're not a fan, you're not a real one. You just like to fight. You just hang out in YouTube chats on Twitter because you like to fight. You're not a fan or a real one. You're fake. You're a phony. You're a fraud. It's so clear to me. It's like, nobody looks at Double Fine as like, that studio sucked, man. They're real bad. It's like, they were making creative games. They were told to do that. Nobody looked at Keeper or Kiln and thought, these guys are going to top the charts. They were being told they could make games like that. Why would we turn around and be like, they sucked? And it's like, what do you mean? The business structure of Xbox was set up to ask for things like that. Bro really said Doom sucks. I mean, they're on one, Triple. They're on one. They'll say whatever they have to say to make this seem okay. Like, nobody plays Doom. What? What? All they want is Call of Duty, I guess. Like, they only want games that sell a gajillion copies, and everything else sucks, I guess. Brandon with the $2 says Fallout New Vegas directed by Asha. Yeah, can't wait. Caleb with $5. As an Xbox guy, we just want Xbox to survive. We don't want it to be just PC and PlayStation. It sucks, but we don't want Xbox to die like all the YouTubers keep saying. I don't want Xbox to die either. I've said this for so many years. I was like, they have so much good property. I don't want them to die. What difference does it make if they're still alive and they've got nothing of diversity? And you guys are asking questions that are loaded questions. Tommy says, were they told to make games nobody wanted to play? I'm having to stop like mid-show and like literally pray so that I don't lose my mind and have an aneurysm. They were instructed to make creative games. Come up with whatever you want. They wanted games on Game Pass. They wanted diversity. They didn't want a bunch of, well, we just have to make games that are going to be popular games. That's not what they wanted. They wanted games like Keeper. They wanted games like Kiln. Homie, why does it matter if the game sells a ton of copies if the goal is to put it on Game Pass? Tommy, listen to what I'm saying to you. This was a setup from the beginning to not sell lots of games. So what does it matter if they make a Psychonauts 2 or Kiln? It doesn't matter. The structure of the business was make games, we're putting them on Game Pass. That was the point. All was subservient to the god of Game Pass. And then to turn around and be like, yeah, but you guys didn't make games that sold very well. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. It would be like bringing me into your business, and you're a buffet, and you bring me into your business to make these amazing breadsticks that I make. And you take my breadsticks, it's a family recipe, and you put them out there on the buffet line. And then you come to me a month later, and you're like, man, I gotta tell you, nobody's ordering your breadsticks. And I'd be like, why would they? You're putting them on the buffet. Yeah, somebody can come in here and like, I guess order soup and then order my breadsticks as a side item, but you're putting them on the buffet line. Why are you coming to me like this is my fault? Like, you brought me here to do this. You said, make this, and I'm going to take this thing that you make, and I'm going to put it over there for pennies. Then I'm going to come back to you and let you go because we're not getting enough money. People aren't ordering your thing enough. What are you talking about? You brought me here to make the thing, to put it on your subscription service. That's what you told me to do. They literally instructed these studios to make games like this. Kiln and Keeper are not even popular on Game Pass. You're missing the point. You are missing the point. They had this breadth of studios. Not everybody's going to buy Call of Duty or play Call of Duty on Game Pass. Not everybody's going to play South of Midnight on Game Pass. Not everybody's going to play Doom the Dark Ages on Game Pass. Not everybody's going to play South of Midnight. I already said South of Midnight. I meant to say Psychonauts 2. Like, you have this diversity of games. So, like, everything from Keeper to Call of Duty, the whole point is you have this breadth and this variety, because I want you to really think about something. They wanted a consistent cadence of games, and I kept saying that's a real challenge. When you prize cadence over quality, you're going to end up with games that aren't ready. It happened with Jedi Survivor. It's like, so you guys are like, yeah, but not a lot of people played them. I understand that. They were never designed to be that. They were small budget games. How much do you think it cost to make Kiln? How much do you think it cost to make Keeper? They were small games. They were quick turnaround games. They weren't big budget games. They were not intended to be chart toppers. So to use that as an indictment of the studios is just weird. And a 5-bomb comes in from Mick D09 and a single comes in from Rissick. They tag team the 225. I don't know who I owe. I think I owe one to Twitch and YouTube. I'm full on rant mode. I don't even know who I owe right now. Maybe Kiln needs a spin-off TV show. What happened to the Doom fans? 187, you don't think it's a coincidence that Doom 2016 did well, Doom Eternal did even better, and then Doom the Dark Ages comes out and it sells the least. What do you think happened? What do you think happened? Now, yes, it was a departure, and they did things that longtime Doom fans weren't really a big fan of, and that's fine. But they also put it on Game Pass, which undoubtedly hurt its sales. According to their own data points, it cannibalizes sales. So, of course, that's going to be the least selling Doom in the group. If you don't understand, there's an unspoken inherent understanding that people need to play the games. You're being purposely obtuse. I don't think you understand what the word obtuse is. You're trying to throw out a big word to feign intelligence, because you're not. Listen, smaller games are not expected to have chart-topping engagement. Phil Spencer himself admitted in an email that, like, they don't even understand or know how to measure the value that a game brings to Game Pass. They didn't even know how to measure it. Thank you, Rissick, for another gifted. They don't even know how to measure it. So there was no, like, internal metric of, like, well, you spent X number of months on Keeper, the one with, like, the animation style and the lighthouse, and we only had X number of people downloaded on Game Pass, therefore you didn't add enough value or whatever. He admits in an email they don't even have a way of calculating that. They were literally told to not worry about these things. They were told, make creative property and projects so we can put them on Game Pass. They wanted games for their showcases and their marketing funnel and those Game Pass tweets that they send out. That was the entire point. Can I get an unban on purple? No, you called me a PlayStation shill. You can get lost. Lono, you need to do a show about the accountability of the creators hyping lies and saying how sustainable Xbox was. The hypocrisy's insane. I don't have any interest in holding those people accountable. They don't answer to me. They answer to somebody far more scary than me. Wolfgang with 50 months. Thank you very, very much. They wanted fluff to keep you occupied until the main showed up, but if everything is free, what's the difference? That's what I mean. Like, they had a breadth of studios. Like, do you really think it's fair to go to Double Fine and be like, well, not a lot of people played Keeper? That the expectation wasn't that Keeper was going to be a showstopper. It was another game to put on Game Pass. Like, it kills me. Like, what's crazy to me is, again, I'm telling you, there are people that have reached the point, they've gone full. You don't have the ability. You do not have the ability to be critical of the brand. You're like, nah, it's on the studios. The games they made sucked. It doesn't matter that they were told to do it. It doesn't matter that they were told to do smaller projects or creative projects because they wanted quick turnaround and they wanted a variety of games on Game Pass. None of that matters. We're just going to ignore that and say it's the studio's fault. 100 bits from Wired Rope. Lono, I'm in these clowns' Discord. They don't play games. They play Twitter. They talk about that more than the games they're playing. Of course. Hidden Sirio and PWH Town each renewed. Kingslayer saying I missed his resub. Oh, I did. Kingslayer with 25 months says breadsticks. We're talking about breadsticks. And then Hidden Sirio with 26 months. I appreciate the restraint of the shills not mentioning Concord. PWH Town says, how does Matt Booty still have a job? And a 10 super chat from the OA says, the But Sony though gang, imagine the absolute apocalyptic crap show would be if Sony laid off 76% of Naughty Dog. Just to announce The Last of Us 3 in the same week. Game Pass isn't free, $23 a month if they need to lower the amount of games on Game Pass, but $287 isn't free. No. The issue here, Caleb, the issue here is that they set up a machine, and I remember telling people it's like Little Shop of Horrors. It's like that plant. Feed me. I was like, they basically set that thing up, and that was the problem. The expectation was just this constant cadence of games. Now, they misfired in one really, really big egregious way. Gamers don't even play that many games in a given year. So it was too much. It was like most people aren't going to look at this and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so glad that I have Game Pass so I can play a couple games a year. You know what I mean? OA, thank you so much for renewing and getting us to 231. So they set up this infrastructure, they set up this subservice, and the entire goal of the subservice is for people to be like, I always have something new to play. You guys have to understand something. Even if people didn't play Keeper, Keeper served a purpose. It creates this image of there's always something new on Game Pass. Even if you don't like Keeper, that was the point. That's what these studios were tasked with. Make whatever you want. Pitch us whatever you want. They were literally pitching games that were like, what's the craziest thing we could pitch? And they pitched Keeper. Now, Laura Fryer said that you need to be careful because you have a diligence and you have a responsibility to your studio. You can't just be reckless like that. My pushback on what Laura Fryer is saying, and I absolutely adore her, she's fabulous, but my pushback is they were literally told to do this. Homies, I want you to imagine being in development all these years. I want you to imagine being in development all these years, and you get scooped up by Xbox. You get scooped up by Microsoft, and they're like, make whatever you want. Yeah, you don't have to worry about sales. That's not our concern. We want cool, creative, unique games for Game Pass. And you're like, really? We can make whatever we want? Are you sure? Okay. And then you do it. Like, a lot of the times these studios have private projects, things in incubation that are just passion projects. They know, they're like, yeah, this will probably never be big and this will probably never be super popular. And maybe they tinker and they work on it over the years in their own personal time, right? So they've been in development all this time. They feel like, oh my gosh, this sounds so great. The lights, the runway lights just went on. Now, I want you to imagine seeing the public and seeing the Xbox fans basically say, you guys deserved to get sold off, shut down, or divested because the games you made weren't popular. And they're like, what? Well, yeah, we know. We were told. What do you mean? We were told to do that. What do you mean the games weren't popular? They were not under the delusion. Do you think that Double Fine was like, Keeper's going to be a chart topper, boys? No, they knew. They were like, this is a fun passion project. We were told to make fun, unique, creative games for Game Pass. Sure, make whatever you want, but don't be surprised if we shut you down after the low engagement number. But that wasn't part of the deal, Tommy. Tommy, I want you to listen. You're not hearing yourself. What you just said is bafflingly, oh, I love you, but what you said is so stupid and you don't see it. They were literally told you can make whatever you want. The numbers don't matter. And you're coming back around and saying, if the numbers are bad, we'll let you go. And it's like, they were literally told that didn't matter. Listen to what you're saying. You're literally outlining the betrayal. It's like, make whatever you want. Make whatever you want. We're not worried about the sales or the numbers. They were not given expectations and like, oh, here's what we expect from this, that, and the third of new subs and engagement metrics. Think he's being sarcastic? No, he's being for real. How do you know? Isn't that the point, to grow subscribers? I need to gift YouTube one. We're 20 away. I need to gift one to YouTube. I need to gift one to Twitch. Hang on. I want to do it now before I forget. I just think the denial is exhausting. I think that's the most exhausting part. It's like you guys will say with a straight face, like, sentences that self-contradict, and like you just don't see it. You literally contradict yourself in the sentence that you type, and then you think you've made some sort of a point. And it's like, I get worn out by it. I'm like, you don't hear what you're saying. They did what they were told to do, and then you're faulting them for it. It would be like me telling the guy that mows my yard, hey, listen, I know the grass is going to get long, but I only want you to cut my grass once a month. And then I fire him because the grass got long. That's how stupid some of you sound. I mean it. That is how stupid some of you sound. It's like, yeah, I know the grass is going to get long, but I only want you to cut my grass once a month. And then he comes back 30 days later and I'm like, what, my grass is long, bro. You're fired. That's how stupid this is. They were literally told to do the thing that you're saying that they shouldn't have done. And it's like, that's why you should be holding Xbox accountable. That would be accountability. You, as the company, told them to do this. It didn't work. Your plan failed. Accountability would be you wearing it and saying, you know what? The strategy failed. We're going to fund your next projects. What's crazy to me is people want to run around and be like, PlayStation's been hitting record profits and they're going to back off physical. They're so greedy. Why don't you keep that same energy with Xbox? Look at the money and the profit and the amount of revenue that Microsoft generates. They could have funded a whole nother round of projects with all these studios and said, new accountability metric is based on sales. We're done with day and date. The Game Pass experiment failed. Here's your shot. Show us what you got. They probably would have got some absolute bangers out of these studios. Why? We've got to deliver, boys. We've got to deliver. You can be extremely harsh towards some of these folks. Be nice. I'm not in the business of being nice. Imagine you got fired for not doing your job when it was not in fact your job. Why weren't you shipping out these mugs? I'm a lawyer. Doesn't matter. You're fired. Like, yeah, that's how illogical it is. Like, I don't think you guys realize Phil and Sarah are gone. That's not being accountable. No. Like, removing leadership is one form of accountability, but the business itself should be taking the brunt of this. They should be holding themselves accountable. We tried to do this. It didn't work. We can afford to fund your next project. We need your next project to be profitable. It has to make money. It has to. We're gonna completely flip the strategy up on its head. We want games to sell. We're done with day and date on Game Pass. Give them metrics they have to hit. And if it doesn't work out and studios ultimately can't bring something good to the table, then you can have discussions about downsizing, laying them off, or getting them to production sizes that make more sense. But like letting go 76% of id Software because Doom the Dark Ages didn't sell enough copies is absolutely mind-bogglingly stupid and short-sighted. I said shutting down Bluepoint was short-sighted. I'm keeping the same energy here. You have a studio full of pedigree and legacy and history and institutional knowledge, and you just torched it all because you are bad at this. You don't understand gaming. You don't care about gaming. That's why I'm so against the attempt to dress this up as they're being accountable and this is going to turn things around. No, it's not. If their North Star was making great games, they just showed me that they don't know how to get there because id Software? Like what? Yeah, exactly. How does that fit into accountability? What are you holding id Software accountable for? You took their game, you took one of the best studios in existence and you threw their game on Game Pass and you're like, yeah, you didn't sell enough copies. According to Microsoft's own internal documentation, Game Pass cannibalizes sales. So using a decline in sales as a reason to shutter a studio or basically shut it down. I mean, a 76 reduction, that might as well be shut down. If they change Game Pass from day and date, you would bash them for doing that too? You'd say, see, they lied? No, I won't. Why would I do that? I've been saying they should get rid of day and date for a long time. I said day and date's on the chopping block. I said, I think you're going to see them mention day and date less and less because it's too costly. You're just making things up now. I wouldn't bash them for that. I would say that's what needs to happen. I've been saying for years, you are devaluing your main piece of property, your main product. You're devaluing it. I would not bash them for that. What? I wouldn't bash them for that at all. I have historically been in favor of getting rid of day and date. I said that they should come out and have that hard conversation. In order for Xbox to flourish and move forward, we cannot put games on Game Pass day and date. These studios, in order for them to survive, their games need to be selling. I can tell that you've never listened to Lono before. Yeah, you're just in here grifting and making things up. You're just trying to gaslight. Brother, I've been against day and date for years. I had people tell me that PlayStation Plus was dead on arrival because it didn't have day and date. And I was like, that's absolutely insane to me. Some of these games had low play counts too. Well, it doesn't surprise me that Doom the Dark Ages had low play counts in Steam. You could go play it on Game Pass. So all you got to do is take your Xbox account, open up the Xbox store and install it. $5 from Lone Wolf. Have a drink on me, Lono. You need one after today. Lord. I'd celebrate Xbox moving completely away from hardware and Game Pass. It's what they should have done 10 years ago. All right. Look at it from this perspective. I said yesterday that I don't like the fact that people are losing choice with physical, but I said if getting rid of physical and saving all that money helps these studios maintain profitability, if it helps these studios continue to flourish and make the games that I love, I support that more than I support your ability to buy physical. Because in the triage of importance, I think the studios staying open and making games is way more important. So that's my triage of importance. When I look at Xbox, I'm like, gut Game Pass, gut all of the leadership infrastructure that's too bloated. Not of the studios. The studios aren't bloated. They bought these studios. The 14 layers of management is another piece of obfuscation. It's like, you didn't buy id Software and suddenly they had 14 layers of leadership. You have 14 layers of leadership. You bought these studios. You bought ZeniMax Bethesda. You bought ABK. They didn't suddenly materialize 14 layers of leadership. That's on Microsoft. That's on Xbox corporate. That's not on the studios. So you get rid of Game Pass day and date. You can keep Game Pass. Just restructure it. Make it something where games go there like a year later or something. But restructure it. Get rid of day and date. Get rid of your 14 layers at Xbox corporate because it slows everything down. And let these studios make some bangers. Let them make games. You go in and you light a fire under their butt and you say, listen, and you listen good. This is it. This is make or break. No more Game Pass day and date. We need your next game to sell. And it's got to be quality. Now, you got to have reasonable ship dates. You can't be like, make the game in 2 years because you're going to work against their ability to sell the game. The game's going to be low quality, buggy, and glitchy. That's what I would have done. I would have celebrated that. If they'd have been like, listen, hardware, waste of time, waste of money. Apologies to the hardware team, but you guys got to go. I know I'm not trying to be harsh about that, but it's like, that is not going to lead to profitability. Triage, are you a medical professional? No, that's just a term that people use, though. When you're making business decisions, you triage. You create a hierarchy of importance. The key to any strategy Xbox has going forward, make bangers. Everything else is secondary. None of it matters if the games suck. That's what I'm saying. You could have rejuvenated this division as a strong publishing arm of Microsoft. And I don't think they see that as the goal. I don't. Your opinion on Undead Labs, then? Since they were acquired by Microsoft, they literally produced 0 games for them. 8 years total and 0 to show for it. Your opinion on that? I actually would really like to know what happened. I actually do. If you know my coverage, Snakebite, I've been very hard on State of Decay. Here's something that you need to know. When they trotted out the State of Decay 3 trailer, Undead Labs didn't even make that trailer. Another company made that trailer. Would you like to know why? Because the pattern with Microsoft and the pattern with Xbox was they just wanted trailers for their showcases. They didn't give a frick. They didn't care if it got canceled. They didn't care if it took forever to come out with. How many Fable trailers have we seen with gameplay that's not representative of what they've actually built? Every single Fable game, every single Fable trailer has gameplay, simulated gameplay in it that looks nothing like the game. It's way more cinematic and way more pristine. Then we actually see the game and it looks rough and it looks kind of like an alpha, and it's like, okay, this is something you guys can work on and improve, but it doesn't look anything like the trailers. And they've been putting Fable in their showcases for like 6 years. They did the same thing with State of Decay. They walked out a trailer. It doesn't even represent the final product. The zombie animals aren't even going to be in the game. They had some other company make it. And then when Undead finally comes out and starts talking to us, do you remember? I lost my mind. I was like, am I taking crazy pills? That guy just said that most of the team has been working on State of Decay 2. It's like, why aren't you working on State of Decay 3? You announced it 6 years ago. It blew my mind. And what did I get? I got hate. Xbox guys told me I was hating. They said the game was going to cook and be amazing. They said that was gameplay in the one trailer, and it wasn't. It was simulated. Like 2 years ago, they showed a simulated gameplay, and I tried to tell people that's not real gameplay. I tried to tell people that about Perfect Dark, and I got hate. Every single time along the way, I've tried to point out these problems, these weird things, this weird behavior from Xbox. I've always been told that I'm hating, and I'm like, I'm not hating. The trailers are clearly using simulated gameplay, and something strange has been going on. Something very strange has been going on. Why? Why did you buy Undead Labs? Why did you announce State of Decay 3 6 years ago, and they've done what? What, they have an alpha. It took them 6 years to ship an alpha? What? Now, you could say that studio wasn't doing a good job and they are being held accountable. Really? They're being held accountable? They got to be sold. They got to leave. They're the lucky ones. id Software is the one that's sitting there looking like a bleeding, barely breathing corpse on the ground. And we're like, what the heck did these guys do to deserve this? They made a Doom. They shipped a DLC that's the size of a sequel. Their games are high. Doom the Dark Ages, technically speaking, highly praised. Graphical tour de force. Excellent game. Well built. It didn't sell enough copies. You yourself have your own internal metrics knowing what the level of cannibalization is from Game Pass. Crunch the numbers and shut the frick up. Like, give them another shot under the new paradigm. Make whatever you want. Who said that to them? Was that under Sharma leadership? Context matters? What do you mean context matters? The company failed. The company failed. They took companies like id Software, had them make games, threw them on Game Pass, admitted internally they were cannibalizing sales, and now we have rabid fanboys saying that that's why it's okay to shut these studios down, or that's why it's okay to lay off 76% of id because they didn't sell enough copies. They have admitted in their own internal documentation that this cannibalizes sales. That you can't, you're going to use that? That's on you. That's not on id. That's why it's not accountability. You guys are throwing around the word accountability, and it's like, but that wasn't their choice. id Software didn't choose to do that. They were like, yeah, Game Pass is great. They're like, you guys told us to make a great game, and we did. Why does Halo Studios get the little brother treatment of messing up over and over and not get touched this time? Homie, we have no idea what's happening. Greg, what do you mean? How do you know that? 343 became Halo Studios. According to Mag, middle-aged game guy, according to him, Halo's not safe, brother. There's another 1,600 people getting laid off in the coming fiscal year. I think they're going to get hit too. The Doom game was too easy. I didn't die once the entire playthrough. Did you play it on the lowest difficulty? Homie, I've seen footage of people turning the difficulty up. That game can be as hard as you'd like it to be. Rachel, thank you for the Prime and the 14 months. Haven't seen you around these parts in a while, and I'm fired up today. $5 from Ninja of Shadows says, Phil let studios make whatever they want. with a hands-off approach. That hurt Xbox. Asha needs games to be popular and sell well to keep Xbox alive. Okay, but homie, how are you going to have games be popular and sell well if you're willing to let 76% of a studio like id go? Like, I want you to imagine that you are in charge of a sports program at your school and you have been tasked with making sure you guys start winning games. Is your first order of business to get rid of the players that are really good? That would be stupid, would it not? That's my problem with Xbox, and that's my problem with the way you guys defend them. They're not assessing the talent and the pedigree that could build them the games they need. 21-year-old veteran, somebody who's been at id for 21 years, get him out of here. Why? Well, it's because his salary's really big. There's no assessment of talent. It's like, imagine that you were in charge of a sports dynasty and that's what they told you to do. Yeah, you got to cut the talented players because their salaries are too big. But you need to start winning games. You'd be like, how am I going to do that if you're making me get rid of the players that are really good? This doesn't make any sense. That's why I'm telling you, their North Star, they don't have one. They don't have a North Star to build great games to sell because they're getting rid of the people that could build the dadgum games that would sell well or be popular. Homie, they're asking the head coach to win games and they're taking the good players away from him because their salaries are too big. It's stupid. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, you guys have so much money. You could have done this. You could have done a new influx of investment in studios that clearly have the pedigree and the legacy to build great games. I'm telling you, we're going to turn around in a year or two. It's going to be just like the ABK deal. It's going to be just like all the AstroTurfing, that exclusives were going away and PlayStation was going to do exclusives too. Everybody right now that's saying this is going to lead to greatness and turn the brand around, you're going to be just as wrong then. You're going to be wrong one more time. One last comeback tour. Let's all be wrong again. You're going to be wrong again. I can tell the trajectory that they're setting up here. I'm like, you're not going to make great games. What do you... The operational cost of Ninja Theory, and they had that amazing capture studio, and you're just like, yeah, we'll let somebody buy them. Are you insane? $20 from New Soul. I think it's important to acknowledge that the creating of Game Pass was going to be inevitable. Because once you are fully under Microsoft, you need to adapt to their business model, like their other decisions. I mean it. I think we're going to turn around in 2 years and people are going to be like, man, that we were wrong again. We cheered for this brand one last time. We went for one last ride on the merry-go-round and we were wrong one more time. We were wrong one more time. Because we were told that the ABK deal was going to be better for the gamers and better for the studios, and it was going to lead to greatness, and it hasn't. And now we're hearing that Asha Sharma is going to usher in greatness. You guys have no idea what's coming. You have no idea what's coming. Game Pass wasn't inevitable. I think what he was saying is that if you come under Xbox, Game Pass is inevitable. Like, you were putting yourself into a position where it was inevitable. You were making games for Game Pass. I think that's what his point was. He says once you're fully under Microsoft, you need to adapt to their business model. That's what he's saying. He's like, once you get brought under their business model, Game Pass is inevitable. That's what they had established as their North Star, was Game Pass. I can't explain id. Anything else I say is a guess. Maybe they just cut staff now. The development of Doom is done, and they'll rehire more for the next game. I legit don't know, but the other studios make sense. ZeniMax Online makes sense. How? What's interesting is this all makes sense to you, and you know nothing. You know nothing. You don't know what these companies cost to run. You don't know how much money they brought in. You know as much as I do. We know nothing. Now, we can look at estimated sales, and we can look at sales of like Doom 2016 and Doom Eternal, and then Doom the Dark Ages, and say, well, their sales declined. And then we can look at games like Kiln and Keeper, and we can assume they didn't sell like a crazy high. We didn't see them on any of the sales charts, right? But we don't. You don't know the numbers. You're acting like you know. You don't. You don't know what the operational cost of Double Fine was against games like Kiln and Keeper. You don't know. You don't. You're assuming that you know. We're all going forward with the assumption that, like, oh, those, as you said, those studios underperformed. What do you mean? Has every studio underperformed? Elder Scrolls Online dev says that the MMO basically funded other failing projects as Microsoft guts the studio. Another fine example that you're not going to be able to explain. I said I don't know twice, but you also don't know about all the other games and studios you've been talking about this morning with such utter confidence. They underperformed, almost as if they deserved it. We've got a guy that was working on ESO, ZeniMax Online, saying our MMO was doing so well, we were funding other projects. They just took people off that team. They just laid off, what was it, 25% of that team? It doesn't make any sense. Like I said, they don't have a North Star. They're just getting rid of people because of their salary size. They're not assessing talent. They're not. They're just going into studios and saying who makes the most money. Can them. This guy here, Andrew Young, says, I'm so angry today. People will never know the blood, sweat, and tears that went into making ESO, or how we basically funded other failing projects while never getting enough resources to really keep up with our release cadence. The team deserved much better. Are you going to say that studio deserved it and that they sucked and that they were bad and they underperformed? See, that's the problem. The commitment to talking points, the commitment to astroturfing, and the commitment to Defense Force, you're going to paint yourself into a corner. Now you got to argue that these guys were bad, lazy, and underperforming as their MMO allegedly was doing well enough to fund other projects, but they got hit too? You can't have that commitment to the talking points because you're going to paint yourself into a corner. id Software deserved it? ZeniMax Online deserved it? What are we talking about here? MMOs are dead? Huh? $3 from Soy Pogger. Do these layoffs guarantee Sony's wins next gen? There is no winning next gen. There's no competition next gen. What do you mean? Who called them lazy? We were hearing that all day the other day. That they were no good, they were lazy, their games sucked, their games underperformed. Whatever your choice of words were this morning, you were on that wavelength. You were 100% on the wavelength of like these studios had it coming. I mean, I can go back and read everything that you said. You said giving underperforming studios the funding to finish their games and let them go independent. You were celebrating that as a good thing. You said all the underperforming studios. You were saying that the 4 studios that either got divested and went independent or got sold off, you were saying they were underperforming. Number one, underperforming according to who? Nobody said that. You kept referring to those 4 studios as underperforming. You were defending the decisions because you were saying that the studios were underperforming. You're on the exact same wavelength that the people the other day that were like, well, the studios were bad, underperforming, or lazy. It doesn't matter what word you use. You're acting as if they had it coming. That was your entire posture in this back and forth this morning, brother. Was that, well, they had it coming. They were underperforming. If that's the way that they've made these decisions, then you cannot explain ZeniMax Online. You cannot explain id Software. Homie, I got news for you. There are layoffs and things coming you're not going to be able to explain. You want to know why? Because it's not a decision that's being made around talent. It's not being made with the goal of like shipping really good games. That's not what they're doing. They're targeting people who make the most money. That's all this is. That's why defending it is silly. It's like what got you and I this morning in our little row was that like I said greenlighting Fallout and making sure we all know you've greenlit a Fallout the same week that you let 76% of id Software go, that's a PR game. They're playing a dadgum PR game. They're using the leaking culture to let us know that, these 4 games are going to get closed down. And then just so happens, those are the 4 lucky studios that got sold off or go independent. Just pure coincidence that happened. And then it's just pure coincidence that the literal day, the veil's all the way off. They're not even trying to hide the fact. The day we learned the hard number that id Software has been reduced by 76%, we just happened to learn that a Fallout's been greenlit. They just happened to let that leak at the same time. And then so what do you see? You literally see every headline throwing Fallout out there. I saw the Fallout armor from New Vegas all over my timeline yesterday. I'm telling you, it's a PR game. Me saying underperforming isn't the same as saying they're lazy and deserve to be laid off. I never said that. I never said you did. I said you're on the same wavelength that people were on the other day. You're essentially blaming the devs. You're faulting the devs. You're not faulting Xbox. You're saying, well, the devs underperformed. Their games didn't sell well. Their games weren't popular. Those were the words you were using. That's indictment language. You're using indicting language. You're pointing the finger at the devs. Whether or not you use the word lazy is superfluous to the debate. That was the line of reasoning you were using. It's on the devs. I agree with the PR game statement. Yeah, they're playing a PR game. Now there's anonymous sources telling IGN that the Xbox layoffs could cause the Elder Scrolls 6 to face further delays. I got news for you. Some of the biggest titles and some of the biggest pieces of property, you'll be lucky if you ever see them. You'll be lucky if you ever see them. Hundreds of layoffs have been confirmed at the Elder Scrolls Online studio, ZeniMax Online. This is coming out of EGC just now, right here. 5 hours ago. Hundreds of layoffs. Again, what are we going to say? Elder Scrolls Online is an MMO, according to a guy working there, was funding other projects. $5 from James Wolfgang. What will be the excuse when they start gutting studios who have been doing well and shipping great games? Here's the other thing that you really, really need to look at. Here's the other thing you need to look at. The studios that are getting hit the hardest, we're getting ready to pitch and pivot to new projects. You think it's a coincidence that id Software was done? They were done with Doom the Dark Ages. They were done with the DLC. It's time to pitch. And they're like, no. Anybody right now working on something, if you're working on Fable, if you're at the Coalition, I would not be surprised at all if the Coalition's going to get hit after E-Day ships. That's the pattern right now. There's a reason that Xbox is like, well, we have another 1,600 layoffs that we're going to do. Why? Well, a lot of those studios are probably getting ready to ship something. I'm telling you, that pattern's probably going to hold. Once you ship your game, once you ship your final thing that you're working on, they're going to come in with the scythe and clean you out. That's what's going to happen. How many players are on Keeper right now? That's beside the point. We've already had that debate. I mean, sure, you can talk about the fact that Keeper wasn't really popular. It wasn't intended to be popular. They were told to make creative games so that they could put those games on Game Pass. That's what they were told to do. Accountability would be holding Xbox accountable for a bad business plan, not holding Double Fine accountable for making a game that wasn't popular. Like, do you see what I'm saying? You're going to them and you're basically saying your game wasn't popular. They know it wasn't the point. Double Fine made Psychonauts 2. They also made Keeper, and they also made Kiln, and that's what they were told to do. Digital Foundry suggested this is also psychological warfare against your employees. This is another thing that Microsoft does not understand. Microsoft does not understand creative process. So what they're going to do is they're going to murder the morale at all their current studios. There's a difference between saying, hey, id Software, we're not putting games day and date on Game Pass anymore. We're going to have sales incentives and bonus incentives for you guys. And we're going to be real with y'all. Things aren't good right now. We need your next game to sell incredibly well. We need production to be lean. We need it to be efficient. We need these games to come out quickly. What can you do to generate revenue right now? What can you do? Could you do something with Doom? Could you do something in the interim while you start to pitch and work on your next project? We're going to try to light a fire under you right now. We're going to motivate you with money. We are going to motivate you with the potential of like, listen, we're having to make cuts, so your next game's got to really sell well. See, that's motivating. That's motivating people with incentive of like, hey, we're not going to do Game Pass. You guys could get some bonuses. You could make some money. Let's have your next game sell well. Let's set it up here. Let's get going. Let's get cracking. Instead, you have all these people right now working at the company that are like, well, we could be laid off any minute. We could be laid off any minute. Who wants to work under those conditions? Like, you go in and you motivate and you inspire and you say, we're going to have bonuses and incentives for sales. You always get better behavior and better morale out of incentivization versus penalization. You always do. You always do. Positive reinforcement is so much more potent. And it's like, well, now you have all these people that are working under the gun. They're like, I mean, any minute we're dead. Any minute we're packing it up. By the way, we need 300 likes. If you guys haven't hit the like button on YouTube yet, quickly do that. Hit that like button. Yeah, Ubisoft's laying people off as well. They literally, they're doing the same thing. They launched Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced, and now that the game has been shipped, they lay people off. They're doing the same thing. They laid off like 51 people. Right here. This is your future. Just keep on defending and astroturfing. The Elder Scrolls 6 will suffer because of Xbox layoffs, Bethesda staff say, fearing delays, crunch, and generational talent being replaced by contractors. This is your future. A $5 super chat from Sora says, agreed, fear of being laid off is not a good motivator. Bonuses would improve morale. Elder Scrolls 6, like that's even a thing. That's what I mean. Like, I don't have confidence in anything that they might do. Anything that they might ship, anything that they might be working on. I don't have any confidence in any of it. I don't. A lot of them are job hunting. Well, the best thing for them to do would be to have something in their back pocket. Right? Have something in their back pocket, but don't quit. Like, my advice to every single person would be to get something lined up, get in your back pocket, but don't quit. Because if you quit, I think you forfeit like severance and stuff. CJ Catrone with a Prime resub, 34 months over there on Purple. Thank you very much. Yeah, I saw the video, Terramaster. He's basically trotting out the hard numbers as to why the fight for physical is over. It's a lost cause. It's pretty cool seeing seeing this level of marketing for Black Flag so massive, and some of the other studios. They're saying this account has been boarded, so they're basically saying like, the pirates are taking over whatever the accounts to promote it. I think that's kind of cool when all the studios do stuff like that. You hurt my feelings? 187. What do you mean I hurt your feelings? You were the one that said nobody plays Doom. I told you to shut up because you should shut up saying that. You said that nobody plays Doom. You shut your whore mouth. You shut it. A $3 super chat from Soy Pogger. Delay your games for years to avoid layoffs. I bought the Black Flag Deluxe Edition for me and my son. I didn't think it was worth the extra $10 for the cosmetics. I just bought the normal edition. Normally, I do buy, like, the Primo. But I was like, nah, I'm not spending the extra 10 for some outfits that I'll wear and then not want to wear. You know what I mean? Racing is so good. We'll be diving in today. I definitely want to check it out. I got it installed and ready to go. They already weren't working on Elder Scrolls 6, so whatever. I mean, we don't even, again, with this level, okay, there's so many things firing at the same time here. So many things firing at the same time. You have people right now that have no idea what's going to happen. They have no idea if they're going to have a job. They have no idea if they're going to get laid off. They know none of that. They're basically, again, they're working under a swinging guillotine, okay? They're working under a swinging guillotine. And because they're working under that swinging guillotine, you're dealing with morale basically being in the toilet. But the other thing you're dealing with is a lot of these teams and a lot of these studios are getting restructured, so you don't even know who's working on what. You don't know who's working on what. You don't know who's going to be on your team. You don't know who's going to be picking up the slack or what have you. Like, this will undoubtedly have an effect on everything that they make going forward. Like, you have to understand, like, there's ripple effects that are going to last for months, if not years, from them doing this. Behemoth says, I want to know from Xbox fans is coming fighting at a streamer on their side, and they side with the devil Microsoft. Behemoth, I said during all of my AB coverage, all of my ABK coverage, I kept saying, I'm on your side, and you guys keep spitting in my face. Like, I'm on your side. This is bad. This will be bad for you. And how is Black Flag not worth it? It's 60. They had to code it from the ground up. Not reuse the old code, added new content, changed the entire game system. They did more than that. Yeah, I think it's more than worth the 60. It was from everything we're hearing, even from Digital Foundry, it's a very, very good remake. I mean, I don't know. I think it warrants the 60. It's a very, very big game, and they did a ton. So 60 seems more than fair. What you're saying now, we see it crystal clear, and they still don't believe it. And here is something, guys, really, really quickly. Make sure it's saving your like. Make sure it's saving your like. We're kind of stalling out on the likes. We should easily be at 300 by now. We're going to roll over at the 2-hour mark, and I need 300 likes on the vid. Will you guys be buying the Halo remake? Yeah, I'm going to be buying the Halo remake. Isn't that one 50 instead of 60? I forget the price of the Halo remake. What's really interesting to me is, just looking at Twitter, looking at my comment section, looking at my chat, the remaining loyal and the remaining like hardcore Xbox fans, they seem far more concerned with what I'm saying and what the press is saying than with what Xbox is doing. Like, you don't really seem concerned with what they're doing. They can gut a legacy studio like id Software, and you're like, yeah, but Reforge has a bias. Like, do you see what I'm saying? What's good, Malice One? Like, Reforge has a bias. Lono has a bias. What? Like, what does it have to do? This doesn't have anything to do with me. What do you... You're turning a blind eye to PlayStation. What? You see what I'm saying? It's like you're not even concerned with what they're doing. You're more fixated on the press, which again, you're more concerned that your favorite company is going to get criticized and is going to get ridiculed or held accountable. So you're like, no, I can't have that. I got to make sure and have a go at Lono and Reforge. I got to make sure and have a go at the press if they're too negative about this. $5 from Andy Ackerman. Microsoft is not taking into account that devs expecting cuts after shipping will drag their feet, so they have a job longer. Another great point, Andy. Lono ain't the one closing studios. Well, what they would say is they're not closing any studios. This week, more on Xbox, says Christopher Dring. The state of video games media. A new website appears, and Atari's new European president stops by. John Clark of Day One says, interesting stats around games media, though I wish more of the professional folk that are often highlighted would take more opportunity to encourage those smaller grassroots outlets instead of labeling them all fanboys. Fingers crossed. Well, I think the problem is, and I'm not even saying that Day One, formerly Xbox era, I'm not saying you should be labeled as fanboys. But the problem is, oftentimes, it can be impossible to distinguish between somebody who is dyed-in-the-wool, bad-faith fanboy and somebody who's not, because you're all running in the same circles and you're all going on the same podcasts. It's like I don't know who's good faith. I don't know who's doing a bit. I don't know who's spinning. I don't know who's grifting. I don't know. All I know is when I covered ABK, I was blocked. I was blocked by people. I was ridiculed by people. I was put in the content, and you're all friends. So like I don't see how anybody can tell which way's up. I don't see how anybody can tell who's like coming at this from good faith and like trying to hold Xbox accountable, or like who's just going to run Defense Force for Microsoft and Asha. I can't tell. That's why when people come in here and want me to like hold other creators accountable, I'm like, I don't want to do that. I don't. I have no interest in that. It got so nasty and so messy during the ABK coverage. I can't tell friend from foe. I can't. So I just don't do it. I don't like bring up tweets or bring up videos and try to argue or debate, because it all got misrepresented. People lied and said that I used people's names for clicks and would put people in my content and like, oh, he doesn't like it when he ends up in other content. And it's like, me pulling up a tweet and disagreeing with it is not the same as like grifting salt mining where they just make fun of you the whole time. It's not the same at all. Like, I would pull up tweets and try and dialogue about why I don't agree. What's ABK? Activision Blizzard King. During the Activision deal, like, weren't you a much smaller creator at the time of ABK was a topic and make heated? Also, the community was much more console war then. I mean, my channel was smaller, yes, but that really wasn't my fault. But my history with Twitch and Destiny and people canceling me and resetting my career is primarily the reason that happens. But what difference does it make? Like, what difference does it make if I was smaller? And yeah, it got heated because I knew this is where we would end up. It got heated. I got passionate. I thought, this is a terrible idea. Buying Activision Blizzard is a terrible idea. The more I looked at it and the more I thought about the history of acquisitions, I was like, this is not going to be good. This will not be good for the consumers. This will not be good for the studios. I honestly felt like you hit a bullseye about a year back when you were doing straight down the lane coverage and emphasizing being kind and friendly. The news was easier, sure, but you were in the sweet spot. Well, the problem is now is I'm having a genuine angry consumer response to this. I am genuinely furious that they gutted id Software. As an enormous fan of Doom, my brother Derek is in chat. He can tell you I was constantly playing Quake with my boys. I was a huge id Software fan. I loved their games. I am having a genuine response of anger and frustration because I knew this was going to happen. And that was my biggest fear. What did I say all these years? I said my biggest fear was studios like Ninja Theory and id, because I love them and I love their games. That was my biggest fear. I was like, I don't like these studios under Microsoft ownership. I don't. It makes me scared for them. That wasn't me putting on airs or acting. And when I'm having this response and I'm angry, I got to hear from people that are like, this is deserved, these studios underperformed, their games didn't sell, and it's like, that's not their fault. You guys keep blaming the wrong people. You should be blaming Xbox. You should be blaming Xbox. I've been put in hundreds of thousands of videos at this point because of my coverage back then, and I was right the whole time. I'm never going to sit here and act like I was perfect and didn't get my shots in and didn't get my digs in. But, and I will always maintain this, to quote the great poet John Rambo, they drew first blood. They drew first blood. I didn't know who these people were. I didn't go after any of these people. They drew first blood. They started having a go at me and attacking me. I got called an e-beggar, a grifter, a pony. I got called every name in the book because I was critical of the ABK trial. And I thought the coverage was bad. They drew first blood. So if I started fighting back and defending myself and getting snarky or snippy, I'm never going to act like I was blameless and perfect. But when you draw first blood and you start getting hit back, you can't cry. Oh, I can't believe this guy's defending himself. I can't believe he's getting in sneak digs on us. The id Software news is absolutely maddening. I'm here for the anger and keeping out of the drama and the fights with other creators. I think every minute we spend talking about them is wasted. Yeah, I won't do it because like I just said, I can't tell friend from foe anymore. I just don't know. I don't know. I don't know if you hated me in the past or made fun of me in the past. I don't know. I don't know if you covered all this stuff accurately and honestly. I don't know. I'm not going to have a go at every creator that's out there that has ever covered this or ever covered Xbox. I'm just not interested in that. It's like, I don't have time for that. I'm not. When you come to my chat and you say the devs were lazy or underperformed or they deserved it, or you're putting on this like whole parade of this is going to be good, Asha's turning the brand around. I'm here trying to deliver the sober truth that I do not think that's what she's doing. I don't think she's setting up this branch of Microsoft to be a flourishing branch of publishing. I don't. Her treatment her treatment of id Software, to me, it just makes me say the future is so bleak. For anybody over there, it's bleak. I don't have any hope or positivity in my veins about them at all. I don't. I don't know why anybody would be excited about anything currently being worked on over there, because the studios are being put through like an absolute, just a wine press. They're being absolutely put through a wine press, and it's like the blood, sweat, and tears that come out on the other side, I think are going to just be nothing but bitter. It's just going to be nothing but bitter. Is she trying to make them lean for a buyout? What's the goal? I've not really had that theory rattling around in my brain, but I don't know. This is what I know. It feels like something else is going on. It does. It feels like something else is going on. They're the master of the Kansas City Shuffle, and I feel like you're doing all this, you're structuring all this like a masterful puppeteer, and the real thing hasn't landed yet. I really don't think we know. Have you ever seen those guys that are like, they're doing the painting, and it's like it's upside down and backwards, and you don't have any idea what's going on. And then they take it and they flip it and they throw it up, and you're like, oh, it's Abraham Lincoln with a lightsaber. You know what I mean? Like oh my gosh. I feel like that's what's happening now. It's like we're seeing the other side of the canvas. Like we're not seeing the full picture yet. It's like, again, this is how they operate. Whenever they're trying to compensate and keep things quiet, like they don't want anybody saying that studios are being closed. They don't want anybody saying that projects are being canceled. My thought is that's what's coming. Like that's my instinct now. It's like a buddy that cheats at cards. It's like the more he tries to assure you, no, I'm not cheating, bro. Come on. I'm not cheating. The more you're going to feel like, no, he's definitely cheating. What's your advice to current Xbox players that can't afford to jump ship? I game daily and don't plan on stopping. My advice to anybody, if you feel like you need to jump ship and you're like, I can't afford it, I would game for as little as you can, like spend as little as you can and just start saving. Every paycheck, I would set some money aside. Get an envelope, right? Get an envelope and just start saving. Just start putting money in there. And then when the time comes that you need to either... I think one of the best purchases right now would either be a PS5 Pro or a really, really good pre-built PC. I think the Pro is probably going to be the best because it's $900. A well-built pre-built is going to be well above that. A really good pre-built that's you can't. The idea of future-proofing a PC is kind of a misnomer. You can't really do it, but a really well-built pre-built is going to cost you significantly more. I think one of the best, most future-proof decisions that you can make right now is a Pro. It's $900. And then you can go over there and slowly start to build a digital library. And again, I know people are upset about the physical thing, but like, I think PlayStation is in a much better position in the market for the long term. PC is also a very good option because I think Steam, I think Valve is very healthy. I think their marketplace is great. I think Valve is a far better place to start building a digital library. But in order to get like a really good PC, you're going to have to spend quite a bit of money now. It's very expensive. They'll be selling games for the Pro for the next 10 years. That's the claim I'm staking. Right, like because essentially you're making a bet. You're making a bet wherever you go. You're making a bet if you buy a pre-built PC and you're like, oh, I hope this thing lasts me and doesn't need to be significantly upgraded for the next 7 years, 8 years, or whatever. The PS5 Pro is going to be getting games and looking good. I think the games look very good on it. Easily for the next 10 years. I don't think there's any doubt in my mind about that. The hardware part of this industry is it's just a disaster. It's just a disaster. I would not be dropping $900 for the current console. I would hold out a few years. Well, I wasn't saying today. I was saying set the money aside. So when the time comes for him to buy the Pro, he's got the money for it. By the time he's saved up the money, it could be a year or two from now, and the Pro could be dropping in price. I mean, but also, I think they'll stop making the Pro when it comes time to launch the PS6. I don't know. I don't know if the Pro will still be out there. I don't know. I do feel bad. I do feel bad for the people that feel stuck. You bought into the hype. You bought into the marketing. And I tried to warn people. I tried to warn people a while ago. I was like, I would not invest in... I think this was like 6 months ago when I told people, I said one of the worst pieces of hardware to buy right now would be an Xbox. I wouldn't invest in anything they're doing. I wouldn't. I don't trust anything they're selling me. They're so dishonest. They're so misleading. Thank you, Woo, for 20 months in a Prime over there on Purple. $10 super chat from New Soul. I think the whole ABK is more complex because if Xbox didn't buy them, we need to ask what company has an iota of Microsoft money to buy ABK. Then we need to ask if they're interested in the first place. I mean, trying to figure out what would have happened if ABK didn't get a buyer, ABK was in a depressed state as far as valuation goes, but ABK was still functioning with a lot of very profitable IP. Like, I just think they would have downsized. Would they have downsized to the degree that's happening right now? The same with ZeniMax Bethesda. I don't know if ZeniMax Bethesda was in like a state where it was like, oh my gosh, if Xbox wouldn't have purchased ZeniMax Bethesda. This guy says, Mr. B says, would you rather have 1 million followers on here or $1 million? Anybody picking 1 million followers doesn't understand. What? $1 million? I mean, here's somebody saying Xbox got rid of the trash. He says Doom Eternal is better than everything PlayStation has to offer. Doom 2016 is better than anything PlayStation has to offer. You're the same guy who made a whole video talking about Gears of War E-Day was going to play well on the Pro, and then you come to find out it's not launching on your scam station. I mean, it was coming to PlayStation. It probably will eventually as well. I mean, that's the kind of people that are out there in the mix. That's the kind of conversation. Like, that guy literally just said that id Software is trash. Like, the Xbox is taking out the trash. Talks about how great Doom Eternal and Doom 2016 is, but then says that Xbox took out the trash. Do you see? They're so drunk on the cult, on the Kool-Aid, cult stuff. Like, it's like a cult for them. They're so drunk on that Kool-Aid, it's like you don't even see what you're saying. Like, you don't even see what you're saying. You're calling id Software trash. The Series X will be the best place to play GTA 6. Are you just bored now and baiting? Why would you say that? Rockstar has literally approved of marketing, and they've used the marketing themselves that says plays best on PlayStation. So the maker of the game is saying that it's going to play best on PlayStation. Why would you say it's going to be the best place to play on Series X? Like, the people making the game are like, that's the best place to play. The Series X has quick resume, auto HDR, native HDR10, Dolby Atmos. I didn't ask for a tech breakdown of the Series X. I said, why is it going to be the best place to play GTA 6? Every convo is like that. Almost every topic, Derek says. People look at you in the eyes and deny something is happening, and when pressed, they will say, trash anyway, no big deal. IDK. IDK. PlayStation doesn't have that? Okay. So, again, that's why. No. You're not making an argument. You're just stating that it has things. Why will that make GTA 6 better over there? Smooth Jazz with 38 months. Lono, I watched Pragmata, I think you meant to say, get destroyed in 77 minutes at Games Done Quick event, raising money for Doctors Without Borders. Such a good cause. Very cool. Let me add you to the total. Thanks for 38 months, Smooth Jazz. Like, why would Quick Resume make GTA 6 why would that be a better place to play? So I'll concede the point. You'll be able to turn on your Xbox and be into GTA 6, however many seconds faster than I will. I'll be playing it on my PS5 Pro. Why will that make GTA 6? Why is that a better place to play? What's that do to the game itself and the way the frames per second and resolution and like I don't understand. Like, you can play wherever you want, but you're saying it's the best place to play, and I'm like, even the people making the game aren't saying that. He has to be joking. He's not. Like, you can say, it's my preference to have, like, quick resume on a big game like that. I don't like to wait or blah, blah, blah. You can say that and be like, that's just your preference. I listed the feature set that will make GTA a better experience. You didn't explain how, though. I could say you're going to have a better experience at my restaurant than that restaurant. And if you're like, how? And I'm like, we have pizza and a buffet and live music. And you're like, I know that. I know you have those things. Why am I going to have a better experience? Now, if I went into the details of like, well, the acoustics of the room is designed so even though we have live music, you can still carry on a conversation. Oftentimes places of business have live music and it can be very disruptive and hard to have a conversation. I could go into the details of how the pizza's made and why I think it's going to taste better. Like, you're not going into the details of like, why are those things going to make your experience better? You're just listing them. They're just features of the console. You said quick resume and like things like HDR and stuff. Like, why would that? And thank you, Chrono, for the raid. $5 super chat from New Soul. Anyone had chocolate or Oreo churros? I have not. My restaurant's better because we have better parking. Right, like, it's like, I don't feel like those things land on the game or the experience. I feel like the PS5 Pro is going to be the best place to play. It's going to be able to leverage PSSR. It's going to be able to leverage other boosts to, like GPU and things. Like, I think it's going to be a better place to play because I know those things are almost assuredly going to give me better performance. I have to explain features like HDR10 and Dolby Atmos. I mean, PlayStation has the 3D audio, and Rockstar has approved marketing that says that's going to be a better place to play. So what you'd have to argue, why is Dolby Atmos going to be better? And why is HDR10 going to be a better experience? You're basically you're basically bristling at having to explain your position. That's kind of weird. Like, if somebody asked me, Lono, why do you like Returnal so much? And I'm like, because it's good. It has shooting and iframes. You'd be like, what? No, Lono, explain why it's good. I have to explain how iframes work? Like, you can't explain it to us? Why do you think HDR10 and Dolby Atmos is going to make it a better place to play? Why? Like, walk us through the logic. I could right now go on a diatribe about why I think Returnal is one of the best games I've ever played. I'm not just going to be like, it has iframes and it's a third-person shooter. I'm just listing facts about it. I'm not walking you through the logic or the reasoning as to why I think it's such a good game. $5 from Andy Ackerman. It's factual that the Series X has better stats than the base PS5, but games have been proven to run better on the PS5. Speaking of Returnal, Soros or Returnal, I thought Returnal was better. I think they each do things better than the other. And so it's basically a tie. They're like two just amazing horses running a race where they're just, they cross the finish line almost at the same time for me. Like, I can't pick one. I think Soros does things better than Returnal does. And then I think Returnal does things better than Soros does. I literally can't pick one. I think that they're both just phenomenal games. Like, I don't care where you play GTA 6. I'm always interested in, how did you get compelled to this position? Like, who convinced you that GTA 6 is going to be best played on the Series X? And you just responded with just stats about the Series X. Again, it just feels like you're just repeating something that you heard. It doesn't seem like you've, like, logically walked yourself to this conclusion. Does GTA 6 even support HDR10 or Dolby Atmos? We don't know. They've not said. We don't know any of these things. That's why I said, like, what got you to this conclusion? What led you to this place? Why are you in this place? Okay. Quick resume is better than sex. That's my opinion. Cancel me, I don't care. $5 super chat from Glassdoor Gamer. Sad what Xbox has done with id Software. My first Doom memory is a shareware disc that my older cousin gave to me to use my 386. There we go. You can force a PS5 to always use HDR and Atmos if you want to. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not interested in all the intangibles of like what you could or couldn't do or what you could or couldn't change. I'm more interested in like again, why do you think? Hear me out. Quick resume sex. The PlayStation 5 supports full Dolby Atmos output for games, streaming apps, and 4K Blu-ray discs. Okay, so that one's available on both. Like I said, man, I don't know. I just end up feeling bad for folks. I feel like you're watching somebody who puts out really misleading content to convince you of things, and then you come out here and you parrot it, and then when you're pressed, it's like you don't have a response. You're like, I don't know what to say. I don't know. The other day we ran into this with somebody, and I just ended up feeling bad. I'm like, I genuinely don't think that you understand. You're just repeating that you're repeating something that somebody concocted as a form of astroturfing, as a form of defense force. They're basically PR for Xbox, and you repeat it because you trust them. You repeat the thing because you trust them, and then you like. I don't know. I hope some people start to wake up and realize that, like, you've been watching and listening to people that their entire brand and their entire MO is to mislead you. They just say whatever it is that's going to make Xbox look as good as possible. And I don't know. I'm not going to police YouTube and call people out and police their content, but I can always tell when I'm interacting with somebody, I can 100% tell you're repeating something that somebody said to you and you've never actually thought about this. You're saying the thing that they've conditioned you to say. I don't know. I feel like that mirage is breaking. I really do. Or that spell. That spell is breaking. It's like in Aladdin when they break Jafar's staff and the spell breaks. I don't know. I feel like that's starting to happen for people. I think they're slowly starting to realize that you've been getting fed a lot of bull. It doesn't matter that Rockstar themselves say it plays best on PlayStation. We've got HDR10. Dolby Atmos means the best sound? Jakob says, so many PCs will play the game better than the Pro, not just the 5090. Not everyone owns a 4090 or a 5090. Yeah, you're putting words in his mouth, though, Jakob. I think the point that he's making is that commonly in these discussions, people will they retreat to the Alamo of, it'll run better on PC. Will it run better on your PC? Because the stats are staggering. The stats are staggering. that the Steam machine is stronger than most of the PCs out there that people play games on. Do you think the Steam machine is going to run GTA 6 better than a Pro and a PS5? It's weaker than them. It's more expensive. So the average person that's out here warring on Twitter and Reddit and YouTube, the odds are not in their favor. The odds are they're not on a PC that is stronger than the Steam machine. When he says quick resume is better than sex, it says that he's never played on a PlayStation because PlayStation's I/O throughput can be up to 4 times faster than Xbox. Load times become negligible. Yeah, I suppose that does get into the... Oh, heck no. Mine, yes. Steam machine, no. That's my point. The Steam machine is stronger than what most of the people that play games on Steam have. What that means is most of the people that are able to buy GTA 6 for their PC are not going to be able to run it on a machine that's stronger than a PlayStation or a PlayStation 5 Pro or an Xbox Series X. Fallout 76 updates could stop without external studio, it's suggested. Comparing one time to loads to all the levels loading. I think that's a really good point that AOZ is making. Like, you're arguing that it's going to be the best place to play, but like from what we're hearing from somebody in the know here, as well as from Rockstar and PlayStation themselves, that you're going to have near instantaneous loading on the PlayStation, right? If you have near instantaneous loading on the PlayStation, then what's it matter? You can get in the game faster, but once I'm in the game, what if I'm having a more seamless experience and a better experience? You see? Like, at that point, the comparison's really important because, like, if I'm in the game and I'm moving around the game world and I'm doing different things and I'm, like, moving across the city and I'm going into buildings and I'm going through missions and I'm getting better load times than you are because of how the tech was leveraged or what have you, then, again, that becomes a negligible thing. It's like, well, yeah, you got into the game faster. The Steam machine is more powerful than 70% of current gaming rigs. Yes, that's correct. And the Steam machine is weaker than a PlayStation 5. So that's what I said. That if someone is going to argue that, like, oh, GTA 6 will run best on PC. Yeah, if you have a PC built to be that strong, but the majority of the people playing on PC, the majority of the PCs out there will not be able to run GTA 6 better than a console because the majority of the PCs out there are weaker than the consoles. $5 from PWH down. Speaking of Steam Machine, what are your thoughts on it? Interested? I mean, I want one, but it's not very impressive. I'm not quite sure because there's games like Witchfire and other games and stuff that I'd love to run on it, but I don't know how well it's even going to run. It's not a very impressive machine. I mean, for $800, for $800, it's like I could have seen putting it in my living room and been like, it's not a big deal if it doesn't play games like Witchfire all that well. You know what I mean? I could have been okay with that. But like at the price, it's like, I don't know if I want to spend that kind of money to basically be relegated to playing games like Slay the Spire 2, Mugenics, and things like that. You know what I mean? You underestimate the almighty Dolby Atmos. The load times make the PS5 a really great place to play Starfield. I think most PC players just like LARPing about it instead of playing games. Yeah. I mean, I know of people that primarily play on PC that you constantly have convinced people that I'm a tourist. I guarantee you I play more games than them and complete more games than them. Guaranteed. Last year and this year. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. You'll never hear them constantly talking about the games that they're rolling credits on and completing. I am now at 19 games this year. I rolled credits on The Adventures of Elliot. It's fantastic. So awesome. Such a wonderful treatment of that genre. And I got 15, maybe 16 hours out of it. I could easily get another 15 or 16 hours out of the game clearing the map if I wasn't up against the wall of Doom the Dark Ages DLC, which I didn't get to play last night. I was playing Astral Ascent with Madam, and then AC Black Flag today. Like, I'd still be playing Adventures in Elliot if I didn't have new things coming out that I had to move on to. It was such a good game. I felt like I was literally playing, like, it was almost like The Legend of Zelda Link to the Past made a sequel about a guy named Elliot and made it, 2D HD or whatever they call that style. It's just so good. I can't recommend that game enough to people that like that kind of style and like that kind of game. It was just truly a great, just such a fun time. I haven't even bought that many games this year. Yeah, I mean, as far as industry average, like how many streamers are out here rolling credits on games regularly, we're 7 months into the year and I've rolled credits on 19 games. Like, come on. Like, you know what I'm saying? Stop believing people that run narrative on other creators and lie about other creators. You shouldn't listen to those people. That's just a total lack of integrity to continue to run with those narratives and say those things. The one clip I saw on Twitter, because somebody replied and was defending me. The guy was like, he was calling me a tourist because I was using the mods in Saros so that I could enjoy the story. And I was like, that doesn't make me a tourist. Like, do you have 220 hours in Returnal? Did you do a full run through of Returnal the day before Saros comes out? Do you have 50 hours in Saros right now like I do? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, they're just running narrative. They just lie. They literally make up things about other creators and people. That's the kind of people they are. It's like, I'm not sitting here doing that. I don't care how many games you play. That doesn't matter to me. I'm not going to run narrative on you. Quit drawing first blood. Play the demo if you're skeptical. Oh, that's right. That's a really good word, Mother of Mars. If you're kind of curious about Adventures of Elliot, you can play the demo. And please hear me say this and don't forget this. You can hit right trigger to quickly change your equipment. That completely changed the second half of my playthrough. I don't know if I missed it. People in the Discord apparently missed it. I kept going into my menu to change from like boomerang to bomb. You can do it with the press of the trigger, and then a wheel comes up that you can pick your equipment. It's game changer. I'm telling you, they don't teach. I swear they don't teach you that in the game. Risic comes in and gifts a single. Yeah, Saros doesn't have a demo. That's not true. Saros has a 2.5 hour game trial for PS Plus Premium subscribers. It's not a demo. Are you going to try and plat Saros like you did Returnal? I don't know. I only went for the platinum in Returnal because I was doing something very particular that I was loving doing. I don't necessarily know if I'm going to do that with Saros, though. The hardware survey from Steam tells me everything I need to know. I spent over $1,000 on my PC till I find myself on the PS5 and the Pro because it's comparable. Derek says, let's be real. If people are antagonizing and clipping you, dropping Rambo lines is just going to make them laugh. Just ignore it and stop feeding the trolls. I'm not feeding the trolls. They use my content every single week. And I think it's completely fair to continue to say that they lack integrity and they're dishonest and they're liars. That's what they deserve. That's what they are. People should know. It's not entertaining. It's not silly. It's not just for lulz. You're liars. You misrepresent and you lie about another person. That's what that should be stated with regularity. I'm never going to defend myself and pull up their videos and react to their stuff. Their content's garbage. But I will say that you're a liar and you lack integrity. I don't have any interest in pulling up your content and showing all the times you've lied about me. I don't care about that. But when I constantly see the clips, to me, it's just like, this is a willful, volitional choice that you make as a human being, and I'm going to make sure people know that you're lying. MickD09 says, see my last comment. If you max out your Jackdaw and take down 4 ships, 4 ships of Lebanon Black Friday by the end of the year, I'll drop a 50 bomb. Yeah, I don't think I'm going to do that. I agree they are bad, but the mob is going to snicker when you quote Sly Stallone from 3 decades ago. I mean, I don't care. If I cared what their opinion of was me, I'd probably end my life if I cared what those people thought about me. Like, I don't care what they think about me. They're degenerates. Like what? I don't care what they think about me. I don't care what they think about what I quote or what I believe or any of that. I don't like. I would be in the worst state of my entire life, all 45 years. I'd be in the worst place if I cared what those people thought. I just find it easier to boot up the game and to not have to fiddle with settings to get rid of most of the hardware just to play the games, same games I play on PS5. Yeah, I mean, I don't miss fiddling around with settings in games either. You know what I mean? Like, that was all. Like, I remember the last time I tried to do that, I think it was in Assassin's Creed. I forget which one it was. It might have been Odyssey. It was one of those. And I was spending copious amounts of time trying to get the performance to work. It was so frustrating. I don't even remember. I think it was on one of my 2080 rigs. I think it was the one over here, the Zydax rig. It was a 2080 Ti rig. And it was like, I remember I was spending a ton of time trying to get performance because what we were trying to do was we were running into a problem with, it was something with frame rate in the capture card. It was just like, I remember being so frustrated. It was so easy this gen to just not even look back. Once I started playing games, like, I think the moment for me that was really transformative was when I played God of War not Ragnarok. When I played God of War 2018 on my PS5. They had updated it with the 4K checkerboard. They had updated it, and then they also gave it the 60 FPS. And it was like, okay, yeah, I don't need to go back to PC land and fiddle around with settings. I'm not doing that. And I'm not going to spend a large amount of money to upgrade the rig so then I don't have to. I was like, nah, I'm good. When I played God of War 2018 on the PS5, I was like, yeah, I think this is probably good for me. Like, I didn't have to do anything. I just turned the game on. I rarely, if ever, have to mess with settings on my PC. Good for you. There was another, what was it? I had to fiddle around with Starfield. I remember playing Starfield, and I had to go in, and I had to fiddle around with settings. Now, it only took me about 10 or 15 minutes, and we were getting good capture, and we were getting good, consistent performance. But I still took about 10 or 15 minutes to tweak. Now, the AC games had their own issue. I don't remember what it was. I forget what it was. There was something particular to the Assassin's Creed games where there was something going on with the open spaces and the foliage or something. I swear it was Odyssey. And we just could not get consistent performance. It was so frustrating. It was extremely frustrating. And I feel like that was a pivotal switch for me. And then when I played something like, I think it was Tsushima. Like, when I finally got to play Tsushima, I was like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not looking back. This is so much easier. Colin was right. The PS5 Pro is just too good. I have absolutely zero reasons to upgrade. I think that's what people don't realize is, like, for them, they have found a burger joint that makes a killer burger, and they're just going to keep going back there. Now, you could come to that person and say, hey, now listen, though. If you go downtown, you put up with the crummy parking, and then you got to pay for parking, and then you got to go in here, and you got to go upstairs, and there's this hole in the wall place, and you're going to spend twice as much. There's a better burger downtown. The average person's going to say, yeah, no, this will suit me just fine. Like, I think that's what people forget is like, nobody's value system is going to be like, oh, I'm going to go through all that trouble. I'm going to spend all that extra money, go through, having to tweak or fiddle or mess with settings here and there. Maybe I have to update drivers or what have you. And you're like, no, that's not that big of a deal. Like, if you've gone to that place downtown and you know the best place to park and you know the best hours to go, and to you the money's not an issue, you're like, I don't get why you wouldn't go. When you're familiar with all those things. But when somebody's like, yeah, but I'm going to have to update drivers, I'm going to have to fiddle with settings, I'm going to have to spend more money, they're never going to like reorient their value hierarchy around doing that. They're going to be like, yeah, this will do me just fine. Like, I think that's what people forget is like so many consumers are just like, yeah, I'm good. If you think the PS5 Pro is too good, I think it'll be easy for them to sell you a PS6 because the CPU is holding the Pro back and folks can't see it. I just don't know how you're going to sell a PS6 to people without it just being to the enthusiast level. Don't worry, GTA 6 at 30 will give you a reason. Shut up, Omar. That's why consoles will always be a thing. It's a simple plug-and-play console specifically for gaming. Easy to navigate UI, no Windows headaches, etc. Yeah, like Windows has me in fits like every other day. I go to do something and Windows is like, no, I'm not doing it. I'm like, come on, man. Like, come on. They'll have to be strategic. I think that the PlayStation 6, I said this yesterday, I think they're going to have to position the PlayStation 6 as a, they're going to have to position it as an extension of the ecosystem. I don't think they're going to be able to sell it as a generation. Like, they're not going to be able to come out and be like, this is a generational leap. You need this. You want this. Blah, blah, blah. I don't think they're going to be able to position it as... I don't think they're going to be able to position it in that way. Like, oh, it's a generational jump. The PS6 has to sit alongside the PS5. Yeah. I think the PlayStation 6 is going to be positioned as an upgrade from the Pro. That's what I think. I think the adoption rate of the PlayStation 6 is going to be slower. And I think they're fine. Fine with that. They're going to have to be fine with that. They're going to have to figure out a way to make that work. So I think what they'll do is they'll have a cross-gen support timeline that's significantly longer than it's ever been. Like, you'll be able to play PlayStation games on your PlayStation 5 for the next 10 years. I don't think that'll even be in doubt. How many years did the PS4 continue to get games? PS4 still continues to get games, but not from first-party studios. First-party studios stopped with Spider-Man 2. It stopped with Spider-Man 2. So that was, what? Was that 3 years into the gen? When did Spider-Man 2 release? Was it 2023 or 2024? I can't remember. 2023. So 3 years into the gen, they were like, yeah, first party's done. I don't think they're going to do that this time. Upgrade rates are going to plummet with prices skyrocketing in the gaming sector. Everybody having less money in general. Yeah, I think it'll be more of a luxury premium purchase for the more enthused player. And here's the thing you have to remember. PlayStation just announced. It was in an earnings call. I think it was from a question or something. Spider-Man 2 got a PS4 version? No, it did not. Spider-Man 2 was the beginning of not they left behind. I either misspoke or you misunderstood me. Spider-Man 2 was the beginning. They were like, no more PS4. That's what I was saying. I said that the PS4 has continued to get games to this day, but first party stopped with Spider-Man 2. They were like, no more. That was 3 years into the gen where they were like, we're done. So I may have just jumbled my words or spoke too quickly. I was saying 3 years in, they were like, we're not making games for PS4 anymore. I don't think that's going to happen with the PS5. I don't think that you're going to get like 3 years into the PlayStation 6 and they're going to be like, no more first-party games for the PS5. They're not going to be able to do that. They're not going to be able to. The adoption rate's going to be too slow. There's going to be so many people just staying on their PS5s and Pros. So, the point I was getting ready to make was, they just said in an earnings call, it was like a Q&A, that they're not just worried about MAU anymore. They're worried about the customer lifetime value. So the customer lifetime value comes from how much money you spend in their ecosystem. So at some level, it's more important that you just keep spending money on your PlayStation 5 than it is for you to buy a PlayStation 6. Your customer lifetime value at some level is probably healthier when you're not buying a $900 PlayStation 6. Why? You got more money to spend. You got more money to spend. Sorry, Doom guy. If you're not buying a PlayStation 6 for close to $1,000 or $800 or whatever it ends up being, your lifetime value stays healthy because you're like, I'm gonna keep buying games. So they still need to have the proper calculus with respect to like the PlayStation 6 has to have production thresholds and demand thresholds to make it a profitable endeavor for them. But customer lifetime value is more important because they need you spending money. They need you buying Spider-Man 3. They need you buying The Last of Us Part 3. They need you buying third-party games in their ecosystem, like Onimusha. So customer lifetime value, if that's their North Star, then they're not going to be like, oh no, people aren't buying the PlayStation 6. They're going to be like, our PlayStation 5 people are spending money, who cares? Like, that's the real issue. And that the concern there would be, are they going to over monetize? Are they going to try and squeeze the existing base? Are they going to start raising the price of games? And that's when you'll start to understand why they're dropping physical. Your customer lifetime value goes way up if you start buying digital games only. They make more money off of you. Now, we have to hold them accountable. We don't want that dynamic pricing thing they were testing. That should only work in the direction of sales. Hey, you haven't spent money in a while. We want to give you a discount. Come and buy a game and we'll take $10 off. That dynamic pricing, it doesn't bother me if you're just trying to coax somebody to come spend money because, like, hey, you haven't spent money in a while, we'll give you a sale or a discount. Companies do that all the time. But if they start raising the price dynamically because they know that you'll pre-order every time and all of a sudden you're like, why is this game $80? I have a serious problem with that. They should not do that. Dynamic pricing to give you a discount because, like, you haven't bought a game in 6 months or something, I don't care. Yeah, like if they've got a game on your wish list and they're like, hey, this game's been on your wish list for 6 months. We just took $5 off. And I'm like, I didn't get $5 off. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're giving you a discount. Like, that doesn't bother me in the least. But that's another way that they're probably going to try to foster lifetime value out of you. That, again, is why they're getting out of physical, because customer lifetime value is what matters. And if you buy 4 digital games in a year instead of 2 digital, 2 physical, they just made more money on you, and times that by millions of consumers. It's dynamic discounts. Why would that bother anybody? Well, when it first got reported, it was wrongfully reported. It was falsely reported that they were testing increasing the prices on people. That has been since corrected. It was not, they were not testing. Raising the price on people. That was falsely reported. Because I took issue with that. I was like, listen, if you want to do discounts for people, I don't care about that. If I'm buying games every other month because I'm a creator, and you got some guy who hasn't bought a game in 6 months, and you tell him some game on his wish list is $5 off, I don't freaking care about that. Who cares? That happens all the time in business. They'll send you a little postcard in the mail and be like, hey, haven't seen you in a while. Come in and get a discount. And you're like, oh, I think I will. VIP treatment. Like that guy in the Key and Peele skit. It was reported that Sony made $1.9 billion in digital games last quarter, while only making $109 million in physical game sales. Physical's a wrap. I think the dust is settling and people are starting to see the reality of it. Hell Is Us coming to Nintendo Switch has been delayed from September 24th to October the 8th. They're saying 2 weeks. They're like, everything's on track, but they're just taking an extra 2 weeks. So if you were planning on getting Hell Is Us on Switch 2, it has been bumped by 2 weeks. They announced that earlier today. Someone even came into the stream and claimed he was paying more, and after 20 minutes it ended up being taxes. I remember that. I remember the screenshots. It hurt my heart. It hurt my heart to do it to him. What's good, Bartholomew? We literally told him, you live in different states, it's probably taxes. We told him, we're like, it was probably the taxes, brother. You really wanted to like Hell Is Us? I did too. I was really looking forward to it. That combat just wasn't it. Man. It wasn't. It wasn't it, boys. The poor man's never heard of taxes. Yeah. Silk Song stepped all over Hell Is Us. Yeah, that probably hurt him a little bit too. If the combat got a really, really good quality pass, I would totally go back and play it. I loved the vibe. I loved the voice acting. I love the idea of not holding your hand and letting you solve puzzles by, getting clues from the area and clues from the NPCs. I loved everything about their vision. I really did. But man, that combat was just like, I was like, this ain't it, man. I'm not putting up with this. Like when telegraphs and iframes are that kind of, they just felt janky. I was like, no, dude, I'm good. I played Onimusha for 5 minutes and I was like, oh my gosh. It's just so good. Taxes are optional. FBI, open up. What? What do you mean? What? I mean, what do you mean? What do you mean taxes are optional? When you go to buy it, it's just there. What's this thing that you do to get around that? What do? You're like, don't tell anybody I told you this, dude. But you don't got to pay those taxes on that game. So what you do is you go and you find your mom's purse and you take out whatever the taxes are. You just take the money from her. What the frick? How do you get? What do you mean? Like the next time I'm at the store, I'm like, hey man, hey, let me get that optional taxes deal. You know what I'm talking about, dude. Taxes are optional. Let me get that, dude. Take the taxes off. I think the cashier's gonna be like, "The frick are you talking about, man? Are you drunk? It's there's a sales tax on it." Excuse me. Sony will get sued once they go all digital, which brings the real reason why they pulled PC ports. No, I think their blog post is actually a sign of how they're going to get out of one of the lawsuits. They are going to make digital purchases available in retail stores, which is what one of the lawsuits alleges, which is how they're like, they're controlling or whatever. They have a monopoly over the gamers. So they're going to I think put that one lawsuit to bed, and that's how they're going to do it. Because currently you can't do that. Like, they're going to change that. That's what the one lawsuit is taking issue with that. That like you can't buy like a digital version of a PlayStation game like at a retail store. They indicated in their blog post that January 2028 you will be able to do that. You'll be able to go into a retail store and buy digital versions of these games. Yeah, the European lawsuit's addressed by in-store code. So I actually think that's one of the reasons why they said what they said in that blog post. I think they're getting in front of that case. They're probably they're literally just going to settle and be like, we're planning on making that change. Once it's digital only, we will make that change. In the meantime, you can just buy physical from the store. So it would be so strange to go to the store just to buy a code. Yeah, we talked about that. We talked about that today. Not today. I'm sorry. Yesterday. We talked about how like the nature of that is probably somebody that goes in and like they're out of physical and they're like, well, just give me a code. It's fine. It could be somebody's like, oh, you're out of physical. I just want to get a gift. Maybe they do. Again, there's all sorts of reasons why they might do it. It's probably not enough to matter. That's why I'm kind of confused as to why PlayStation was fighting it. It was like, and again, we had somebody kind of in the know in chat that was like, it's because of the infrastructure that would be required to set it up. Hang on, I'm trying to get my audio for okay, there we go. I need a quick break, and then we're going to be playing some Black Flag. Do me a quick favor and go crazy on the like button. There's plenty of you here right now to get us to 400 likes. I appreciate you guys so much. I appreciate it. And okay. Yeah. So, yeah. Give me a brief second. We're going to be getting into Black Flag Resync. I wanted people to get a chance to see it. I will be playing on the PS5 Pro. I'm very excited. I bought the standard edition. I did not play Doom the Dark Ages DLC yesterday on stream. I'm kind of conflicted about that. They want people celebrating it and talking about it and encouraging people to buy it, but it's also kind of like anybody buying it now is not helping the people that made it. So I don't know. I feel super torn about it. But the opening of the Doom the Dark Ages DLC was spectacular. So give me a quick second and I'll be right back. So just to be clear, will the games be cheaper when we go digital? No. But they make more money on the digital purchases. They don't have to split with the retailer. There's no shipping. There's no licensing. Yeah. I mean, they're making more money right now on digital. So I get where people are coming from on like wanting it to be cheaper, because you're like, hey, you don't have to pay all that money, but they're working against the rising cost of everything. Like I genuinely think people, it's just completely lost on people that like production costs, hardware costs, raw material costs, cost of development, all of that stuff skyrocketing, and people are just basically like wanting the company to weather all of that and just pay for all of it. It's like, they're not going to. They'll make you pay for it before they'll pay for it. They'll lay people off before they'll pay for it. Ask Xbox how that's going. Like, just continuing to spend money and just, profits be damned. Like, ask them how that's going. Ask id Software how that's going. Like, is that what you want them to do? Like, it's ironic to me that people are sitting here actively watching Xbox run the ship into the ground because they just kept spending and spending and spending and making everything as cheap as frickin' possible for the gamer. And now look what happened. Look what happened. The ship ran into the ground. They're having to lay a bunch of people off and shutter, basically, for all intents and purposes, shutter studios. And people are like screaming and mauling about physical. And it's like, yeah, that's right. Just convince the company to keep spending money and to keep shouldering all the rising costs and not worry about profit. That's worked out so well for Xbox and their studios. We should still look at total profit margin and CEO compensation. I'd look at Xbox before I look at a Japanese company. I'd be way quicker to look at Xbox and their CEO corporate structure and what these people are paid before I'd be looking at freaking PlayStation. Let's see here. Like, Xbox fat cats are making absolute bank while sending 3,000 people packing. All right, hang on. I got to switch directories on Twitch. Let me see. Okay. All right, guys on YouTube, do me a favor. There's no way you're worried about spoilers here, okay? On this game. So come over, hang out for a little bit, hit the like button. There's a link in chat. That'll help me out big time. Okay, let me make sure we've got. Why can't I hear it? Properties. Where's advanced properties? Advanced audio properties. Audio input device. Okay. Okay, whatever. Okay. Don't spoil anything for me. That's right. All right, here we go. Here we go. Use the link in chat or ride redirect. Come over and go crazy on the like button. It's super, super helpful when the like count on a new stream just kind of skyrockets. There's so many of you here right now. If you like my content, this is a great way to help me hit that. And Jimmy, I missed your $2 super chat. You said the handheld will keep PS5 relevant for a while. And let me get the member count up. Okay. Okay. We're probably on pace to miss this week, so you guys are going to have to rally. Tomorrow is Friday, so here we go. Thank you so much for checking out this video. This is going to be me diving into Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. I am on a PS5 Pro. I have it set to performance. I haven't messed with anything else on the game, and we are right at the beginning, the opening cinematic. So as soon as I unpause this, you're going to get hit with game volume, okay? I'm going to end the previous stream. We were talking like Xbox and id Software. It was fiery. I was mad. Check that out. I'm going to end that stream, and I'm going to bring people over with redirect, and we are going to be diving into this right now. I don't want to make you wait. If you clicked on this, you're going to want gameplay. Let's see how it looks.